Chapter 4083. Roaming Dragon World, Zilong Region. After all, the Zilong family clan was once an overlord faction. Even though it had declined, it was still terrifying. Under Ziyu's lead, they quickly arrived at Zilong City. From afar, they could see the dazzling sight in the distance. It was the complete opposite of the World Gap. Senior, Zilong City is up ahead. The Zilong family clan was named after the purple dragon. Their ancestors once possessed the purple dragon bloodline, and it was the purest kind. However, it gradually declined, resulting in very few people in the family clan being able to activate their bloodline. Zilong City, where they lived, was the core of the entire Zilong region. The Moke family clan was also in Zilong City. They were the Zilong family clan's most threatening opponent. They had always been eyeing them covetously. If they were careless, the Zilong family clan would fall into eternal damnation. This was also why Ziyu risked his life to forcefully break through to the Supreme Realm. It was all for the sake of surviving in the family clan and not embarrassing his father, who had died in battle. How spectacular! Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. After experiencing more than 100 years in the World Gap, he felt a little dazed when he suddenly arrived at Zilong City. However, he quickly stabilized his body and followed Ziyu into Zilong City. Look, isn't that the trash from the Zilong family clan? Is he Ziyu? It's said that he's already very talented. He was recognized as the future of the Zilong family clan the moment he was born. Why is he in such dire straits now? Humph, what bullsh** T genius. He's just pretending to be mysterious. He can't survive after being exposed, right? It won't be long before he's chased out of the family clan like a stray dog. When that happens, he won't even be comparable to a dog in my family. As soon as they entered the city, countless mocking gazes shot over. Some were filled with pity, while others were mercilessly mocking him. Most of them were furious. After all, the Zilong family clan was a big tree that attracted wind. After so many years, they had made countless enemies. Many people kept adding insult to injury when they saw Ziyu in such a state. To Fang Chen's surprise, the mockery of the surrounding people didn't cause any trouble for Ziyu. He chose to ignore them and led Fang Chen towards the Zilong family clan. This child's mentality is quite firm. On the path of cultivation, one's mental state was very important. Being disturbed by the enemy's words was a great taboo. Soon, Ziyu brought Fang Chen to the entrance of a luxurious residence. He pointed inside and said, "Senior, this is the Purple Dragon Clan. Please come with me." After entering the mansion, Ziyu asked Fang Chen to wait in the garden while he quickly walked into the meeting hall to report the matter to the elders. Although the Purple Dragon family is in dire straits, it's not something that the chaotic world can compare with. Fang Chen secretly observed and discovered many supreme stage auras. There were even auras that made him feel pressured. He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. The 3,000 realms of the Great Path were indeed filled with cultivators. Although the chaotic realm was once the original realm, it was now recovering after experiencing a blow from the destruction elemental. It was difficult for even the supreme plane to emerge. Swish! Just as he was thinking, a sharp knife suddenly shot towards him at a speed invisible to the naked eye and carrying a terrifying force. Buzz! Seeing this, Fang Chen's face instantly turned gloomy. He felt a strong killing intent from the sharp knife. He slammed his palm, and a vast palm force collided with the sharp knife. At the moment when the knife paused, he caught it with his bare hands. Deadly poison. Seeing the white smoke rising from the blade, Fang Chen's eyes flashed with a trace of killing intent. Obviously, the person in the dark wanted to kill him. Although he didn't know what this deadly poison was, even Fang Chen wasn't confident that he could resist it. Clap, 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 clap. A man in luxurious clothes walked out from behind a towering tree in the garden. With a bright smile on his face, he clapped at Fang Chen. "You caught my flying knife with your bare hands. You're not bad." Fang Chen raised his head and looked forward. He could feel the special aura of the man in luxurious clothes. He should be a disciple of the Purple Dragon Clan. The man in luxurious clothes stretched out his hand. "Hurry up and return the flying knife to me. Catcher." In front of the man in luxurious clothes, Fang Chen secretly activated his ultimate force and smashed the flying knife with his palm. Countless fragments fell to the ground. This scene. The man in luxurious clothes' face instantly changed. Then, it turned gloomy. Do you want to die? The flying knife is contaminated with deadly poison. You attacked me for no reason. Is this how the Purple Dragon clan treats their guests? Fang Chen was furious. Kid, I don't care where you came from or who brought you back as a guest. Since you dared to break my flying knife, you will pay a heavy price. As he spoke, the man in luxurious clothes' figure flashed, and he launched a barrage of attacks at Fang Chen. Dong! A deafening sound resounded through the sky. Soon, the commotion attracted many people. They were dumbfounded when they saw the man in luxurious clothes fighting with a stranger. Die! The man in luxurious clothes displayed the Purple Dragon clan's unique skill. He closed in on Fang Chen step by step. His moves were fierce and overbearing. Every move wanted to take his opponent's life. Fang Chen's expression was cold. He was completely enraged and wanted to pull out his sword. However, at this moment, a voice stopped the battle. Stop! Ziyu ran over from afar and shouted, Zimu, don't be rude. At the same time, he stood in between the two. Only then did the man in luxurious clothes stop his attack. So he was brought back by you. No wonder he dares to be so arrogant. What happened? Ziyu asked curiously. He broke my flying knife. I want to cut off his arm. Zimu was overbearing. Senior. Ziyu looked over with a questioning gaze. Fang Chen said, he used the poisonous flying knife to attack me first. Ziyu instantly understood. Zimu, you've gone too far. Since you're the one who brought him back, then you'll have to bear the consequences of his mistakes. Ziyu was in dire straits in the Purple Dragon clan. Zimu did not give him any face at all and even wanted to humiliate him. However, at this moment, a shout came from afar. The Great Elder had arrived. Enough! The Great Elder's dignified voice echoed in the garden. Zimu's heart tightened. He hurriedly walked in front of the Great Elder and complained, Great Elder, it's him. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted by the Great Elder. All right, I know. Anyone who comes is a guest. The Great Elder finished speaking and walked in front of Fang Chen. He smiled and said, Little brother, I've let you see a joke. I'll teach these arrogant guys a lesson later. Fang Chen also greeted the Great Elder with a fist salute. The onlookers were very curious. What was Fang Chen's background? He actually made the Great Elder come out personally to mediate the grudge between him and Zimu. Disperse. The Great Elder said. Before Zimu left, he gave Fang Chen a vicious look, but the latter ignored him. Little brother, come with me. The Great Elder said gently. Chapter 4084. Looking at Fang Chen's departing figure, Zimu's face was ferocious, and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. I want to see how long you can be proud of yourself. In fact, Zimu was not targeting Fang Chen, but Ziyu. When Ziyu's father was still the patriarch, Ziyu had limitless glory. He had used his identity as the patriarch's son countless times to suppress Zimu and humiliate him in public. At that time, Zimu swore that one day, he would return it 100 times over. Later, the Zilong family changed. Ziyu's father died in battle, and their bloodline gradually declined. Ziyu's situation also became worse and worse. There were even rumors that Ziyu was about to be expelled from the Zilong family because of Zimu. Now that Ziyu had brought an outsider back, Zimu naturally wanted to find trouble. Who would have thought that he would run into a tough nut this time? Just you wait. You dare to go against me, Zimu? You're dead. A trace of black light flashed in Zimu's eyes, making them even darker and more terrifying. However, no one caught this scene. Ziyu and Fang Chen followed behind the First Elder and soon arrived at the meeting hall. Little friend Fang, sit. Fang Chen nodded and sat on the armchair. The First Elder also sat down, and Ziyu poured tea for the two. Ziyu has already told me about your matter. Here, on behalf of the Zilong family, I would like to thank Mr. Fang for saving Ziyu. From his words, it could be seen that the first elder doted on Ziyu, but the situation forced him to do so. It was just a matter of convenience, Fang Chen said calmly. I'm sorry for troubling you by coming to the Zilong family as a guest. The first elder waved his hand. Little friend Fang, you're too kind. A young talent like you will be welcomed by big forces wherever you go. Speaking of this, the first elder went straight to the point. Little friend Fang, I heard from Ziyu that you're an interstellar cultivator who came to my roaming dragon world by accident. You won't be leaving for a while and want to hone yourself here? Fang Chen nodded and did not say anything. Before figuring out the situation, it was best to speak as little as possible so that there would be fewer flaws. Since that's the case, I represent the Purple Dragon family to invite you to join us. Don't worry, as long as you become a guest elder of our Purple Dragon family, you will receive countless cultivation resources. Furthermore, there will be no restrictions. You only need to act when the Purple Dragon family is in danger, said the first elder with a smile. Ever since Ziyu's father had died in battle, their bloodline had been getting weaker and weaker. From Ziyu's description, they could feel that Fang Chen was very strong. At the very least, he could be considered a top powerhouse among the Supremes. Especially when he resisted the heavenly tribulation with his bare hands, it further proved his strength. The Great Elder also hoped to rope in such a person. Sure. Fang Chen said, I won't be leaving in a short period of time. Becoming a guest elder of the Purple Dragon family isn't a problem. However, there's one thing I want to say first. I want to be able to use the Purple Dragon family's intelligence network at any time to gather information for me. Moreover, if the Purple Dragon family is in danger, I can help. However, if it's beyond the scope of my ability, I won't die in vain. Of course. Although Fang Chen was strong enough, it wasn't enough for the Great Elder to spend a lot of effort to rope him in. What he truly cared about was the expert behind Fang Chen. An expert who could freely travel through the world gap definitely had a powerful faction backing him. Both parties reached a consensus. The Great Elder handed the token that represented his status as a guest elder to Fang Chen. On it was written the number 9, which meant that Fang Chen was the 9th guest elder of the Purple Dragon family. Although this number was small, the conditions to become a guest elder of the Purple Dragon family were very harsh. Alright, Ziyu, send guest elder Fang to rest. I still have some matters to attend to, said the Great Elder. Lord Guest Elder, let's go. Ziyu's attitude towards Fang Chen was very respectful. After watching the two of them leave, a figure suddenly appeared at the back of the meeting hall. He was enveloped by a purple aura and exuded an oppressive might. It was obvious that he was the current patriarch. You're wasting the only guest elder token to give it to such a person. The patriarch's dignified voice sounded. The Great Elder said, I think this little fellow is pretty good. The patriarch snorted coldly and disappeared. Although he didn't understand the Great Elder's decision, he respected it. Who knows what the future of my Purple Dragon family will be like? When only the Great Elder was left in the meeting hall, he revealed a melancholic expression. He was physically and mentally exhausted, as though he had aged more than 10 years. His turbid eyes looked through the door at the boundless sky, filled with helplessness. The internal strife in the Purple Dragon family seems to be a little serious. Ziyu brought Fang Chen to an independent courtyard. This was the residence of the guest elders. It was very quiet and elegant. Fang Chen said as he sat on a stone bench, Senior Marshal Brother, you are a disciple. Ziyu shook his head helplessly. If it weren't for the internal strife, the Purple Dragon family wouldn't have ended up like this. Ziyu even heard something even more unbelievable. Someone within the Purple Dragon family was colluding with the Moke family. Every time he heard such news, he would tremble in anger. Those who betrayed the family were worse than scum. With internal strife and external aggression, the Purple Dragon family's days are indeed not easy. Fang Chen even doubted whether it was good or bad for him to temporarily join the Purple Dragon family. However, since he had already joined, he had to first understand the major forces of the Wandering Dragon Realm. He asked Ziyu for a dossier on the Wandering Dragon Realm and then asked Ziyu to leave so that he could read it alone. The news of the ninth guest elder's appearance quickly spread. After Ziyu and the others heard it, they felt incredulous. Ziyu went directly to an elder to express his dissatisfaction. Elder Mu, what qualifications does the person Ziyu brought back have to be a guest elder of our purple dragon family? Ziyu asked. Don't worry, he won't be there for a few days. If he knows what's good for him, he'd withdraw. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Elder Mu smiled eerily and sent a message to a guest elder of their faction. Soon, he received a reply from the guest elder. There's a good show to watch, Elder Mu said. In Purple Dragon City, there were cultivators competing for the position of guest elder of the Purple Dragon family all year round. However, now that the news of the ninth guest elder had spread, coupled with some people with ulterior motives, many people were extremely angry and threatened to defeat this reckless guy. In addition, the other 8 guest elders also had the attitude of watching a show. Some people clearly opposed and did not approve of Fang Chen, while others remained neutral. However, Fang Chen, who lived alone in the courtyard and was carefully reading the dossier, did not know that the outside world was in an uproar because of his position as the 9th guest elder. Finally, on the 3rd day after he became a guest elder of Purple Dragon City, the noise outside the courtyard disturbed him. He put down the dossier in his hand and slowly stood up. Challenging me? Chapter 4085. Over the past few days, Fang Chen had been carefully reading some of the files brought by Ziyu. Basically, he had a new understanding of the Wandering Dragon realm. Although this realm was considered a relatively remote and savage place in the world gap, and its martial arts civilization was backward, it was still not something the current chaotic realm could compare to. At least, the heavenly Tao rules here were perfect, and the cultivation system was very orderly. As long as one's talent was outstanding, it was only a matter of time before they stepped into the supremacy realm. However, for the people of the chaotic realm, the supremacy realm was the ultimate goal of countless people. Some people could not even catch up to it in their entire lives. Of course, ever since Fang Chen became the realm lord of the chaotic realm, the heavenly Tao rules began to gradually perfect, and the chaotic realm began to recover. It was walking the path of the original realm. If everything went smoothly, the chaotic realm would definitely become the core of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path in the future. It would become a cultivation holy land that countless experts dreamed of. Of course, for the current Fang Chen, everything was still too far away. The most important thing was to improve his strength as soon as possible. Only when he was strong could he protect the chaotic realm. The thoughts in his mind gradually disappeared, and he heard the clamor outside the courtyard. It was very loud, and many people had come. It seemed that someone had done it deliberately. Zimu. A cold light flashed in Fang Chen's eyes. Last time, he attacked him for no reason. This time, he was adding fuel to the fire. Creak. The door of the courtyard opened, and Fang Chen stood with his hands behind his back. He walked out expressionlessly. Suddenly, the noise stopped abruptly. Everyone's eyes fell on him. Some people's eyes were filled with envy, while others were filled with jealousy. Of course, most of them were angry. Are you the 9th guest elder of the Zilong family? Standing at the front and the one who shouted the loudest just now, he questioned coldly. Yes, that's me. Fang Chen was calm and composed. He was not intimidated by the aura of these people at all. Temph, what qualifications do you have to be the 9th guest elder of the Zilong family? This person smiled disdainfully, his eyes full of mockery. If you know what's good for you, obediently withdraw from the Zilong family and never step into the Zilong domain. Otherwise what? Fang Chen asked. Boom. This person exuded a terrifying black energy. At the same time, a black crescent moon appeared above his head. It was as if he had been demonized. Otherwise, you will die. The demonic sound reverberated in the sky. In the next instant, everyone felt that the sky was covered by a black crescent moon. The surrounding temperature plummeted, giving everyone a suffocating feeling. Everyone retreated, stabilized themselves, and continued to watch the battle. Old Black is making his move. He's dead for sure. Old Black has always been a strong contender for the guest elder position. Originally, he had the best chance, But who would have thought that an outsider would beat him to it? This fellow doesn't know what's good for him. He can't blame anyone for his death. While the man called Old Black was fighting fiercely with Fang Chen, Ziyu saw that something was wrong and hurriedly left to call the Grand Elder. At the same time, in a dark corner, Elder Mu, Purple Eye, and the others were watching from the sidelines. I think this kid won't be able to survive Old Black. Purple Eye was quite confident in Old Black's strength. Purple Eye, don't jump to conclusions too early. Don't underestimate any enemy. Only by understanding the opponent's background can you beat him to death. Elder Mu lectured. Elder Mu is right. Purple Eye nodded, a crazy look flashing in his eyes. Boom. 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 The battle was about to start. Old Black displayed all his skills and tangled with Fang Chen. However, the latter only threw a punch and sent Old Black flying. Dong. A deafening sound reverberated in the air. Old Black's body slammed heavily on the ground. What happened? Everyone exclaimed. They originally thought that Old Black would be able to crush his opponent. Who would have thought that Old Black would be defeated by a punch? Wasn't this too exaggerated? Everyone thought that it was an illusion. They rubbed their eyes hard and found that the scene in front of them didn't change. Their hearts were in a state of shock. Those who were originally cursing very fiercely subconsciously shrank their necks and retreated into the crowd. Their strength was not as good as Old Black. Even Old Black was defeated. They did not think that they could defeat Fang Chen. You're courting death. Old Black got up from the ground. His body was full of demonic aura. He was furious and was ready to attack again. However, this time, what greeted him was still Fang Chen's iron fists. This time, Fang Chen used the ultimate power in his body. The power of his punch was enough to break mountains. Crack. Old Black was just a mid-level supreme being. He could not withstand the power of this punch. His body was struck by lightning. He was sent flying and fainted. The strongest competitor of the guest. You're just SOSO. Fang Chen returned to the gate of the courtyard. He patted the mud off his clothes and grinned. Then, he raised his head and glanced at the crowd. I don't care what your purpose is. From now on, I will accept all your challenges, Fang Chen said sternly. I won't hurt anyone this time, but next time, I won't be merciful. As soon as these words came out, the troublemakers retreated. Old Black was crushed, which deeply hit their hearts. They were afraid. No one wants to challenge me? Fang Chen asked. In that case, don't bother me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the side. Everyone turned their heads and found that it was the 8th guest, old Mr. Gong Yang. Old Mr. Gong Yang, everyone said respectfully. Mr. Gong Yang laughed as he walked. I heard that the 9th guest is powerful. Today, I see that you live up to your reputation, but, he changed the topic and said coldly, this is the Purple Dragon family. It's not a place for you to behave atrociously. Fang Chen did not speak. He wanted to see what this so-called 8th guest wanted to do. You want to challenge me too? Challenge? Mr. Gong Yang despised. Are you worthy? Since you don't want to challenge me, then I won't accompany you. Fang Chen turned and closed the gate. Everyone was stunned. This was the famous 8th guest, old Mr. Gong Yang. He didn't give him any face. He was simply courting death. Sure enough. They found that old Mr. Gong Yang's face instantly became gloomy. He gathered strength in his left hand and smashed the gate of Fang Chen's courtyard. After the splinters fell to the ground, Fang Chen's back appeared before Xiao Chen's eyes. He stopped abruptly and slowly turned around. He looked straight at Mr. Gong Yang and asked, You don't want to challenge me, but you deliberately destroyed my courtyard. What is the meaning of this? Nothing. I was just itching. Mr. Gong Yang sneered. He didn't give Fang Chen any face. If your hands are itchy, you can go find other guests to vent your anger. You think I'm easy to bully? Chapter 4086. You can smash someone else's door just because you're itchy? It had to be known that this area was a guest's area. Even the younger generation disciples of the Purple Dragon family did not dare to be rash there. Moreover, The family had a clear rule that they could not carelessly destroy the guest's residence. Otherwise, they would be severely punished. Guest Fang, you and I are both guests. Why would I bully you? Mr. Ram was still smiling, but that smile contained killing intent and mockery. He spread out his hands and said, I just said that my hands were itchy. As for your door being destroyed, it was purely a mistake. Fang Chen stopped in his tracks and turned around. His pitch-black eyes stared at Mr. Ram. You're really good at being a hypocrite. Fang Chen said coldly, as a foreign dignitary, do you have to play such petty games? Presumptuous, who do you think you are? What right do you have to talk about Mr. Ram? Mph, do you really think you're so great just because you're the 9th guest? Let me tell you, even if Mr. Ram kills you, you deserve it. In the beginning, everyone was shocked by Fang Chen's thunderous method of crushing Laro Hei. However, now that Mr. Ram was here, they were full of confidence. They kept mocking and cursing in order to provoke him. Kill me. Fang Chen's eyes were cold. You just said that I'm not worthy of being challenged by you. Let me tell you now, you're not worthy of being challenged by me. With that, Fang Chen turned around and left. Boom. At this moment, Mr. Ram's lackey could not help but launch a sneak attack at the back of Fang Chen's head. However, just when everyone thought that he would be seriously injured even if he did not die, Fang Chen retaliated. He calmly turned around, raised his hand, and slapped the person who had ambushed him. The person was sent flying as if he had been hit by a force as heavy as Mount Tai. Crack. His body was split into two and fell to the ground. He died instantly. Dead. Someone died. Everyone's face was extremely gloomy. If the previous battle was merely a result of people challenging Fang Chen because they were not convinced that he was the 9th guest minister, then the meaning of this battle was different now. As a guest elder, killing someone in public was already a serious violation of the Purple Dragon family's rules, and he had to be punished. What a vicious method. Mr. Ram said, originally, I didn't want to do anything. However, you dared to kill in front of so many people. You are simply insane. Let me execute you on the spot. Fang Chen shrugged and said disdainfully, if you want to deal with me, why do you have to make it sound so dignified? At the same time, he took a step forward and pointed at the dead cultivator, saying, I've said it before. I won't hurt anyone the first time. But from now on, if anyone comes looking for trouble with me, I will definitely hurt them. The people who had just died were a good example. Many people's minds were shaken, feeling a bit scared. They couldn't help but back up. Only Mr. Ram stood with his hands behind him as if everything was under his control, looking down at Fang Chen. By the way, it's not up to you to decide if I'm qualified to be a guest elder. If you don't agree, feel free to fight me. However, I can't guarantee that you'll leave here alive. Mr. Ram's face turned cold upon hearing this. Do you think you're strong? Mr. Ram asked. At least I'm stronger than you. Fang Chen immediately saw through Mr. Ram's cultivation. Even though he was in the advanced stage 9 Heaven's Supreme Realm, his foundation was not solid enough, and he had a fatal weakness. Fang Chen was aware of all these. He had an absolute chance of winning against Mr. Ram. Unless a peak 9 Heaven's Supreme came to attack him, he was not afraid of anyone. He knew that there were countless pairs of eyes watching him in the dark. It was a good opportunity to start with Mr. Ram. As long as he defeated Mr. Ram, there shouldn't be any trouble for a short time. How arrogant. I've been in the Purple Dragon family for so many years. Has the world forgotten the person who made the world tremble? Mr. Ram was so angry that his body was trembling. He couldn't wait to tear Fang Chen into pieces. Is that so? Fang Chen retorted, not giving Mr. Ram any face. Then I'd like to see if you can withstand 3 moves from me. You're courting death. Every word of Fang Chen was like a needle that pierced deeply into Mr. Ram's heart. It was an insult to Mr. Ram that he couldn't withstand 3 moves. Boom. 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 Mr. Ram roared. His figure flashed, and a violent force rushed over. He instantly engaged in a fierce battle with Fang Chen. Humph, this guy is too arrogant. Just wait to be taught a lesson by Mr. Ram. Mr. Ram, don't show any mercy. It's better to kill him. How can such a cruel person be qualified to be the Purple Dragon family's foreign minister? Many people were ridiculing Fang Chen. They all thought that there was no suspense in this battle. Mr. Ram would be the final winner, and he would crush the new foreign minister in an extremely shocking manner. However, things didn't go as planned. Fang Chen said that Mr. Ram might not be able to withstand 3 moves from him. He had always been a man of his words. Therefore, he displayed the ultimate sword art in his first move. The sword principle had been nurtured by his blood and sweat, and it had reached an extraordinary level. In addition to the amplification of the ultimate power, the sword principle was shocking. The entire space seemed to have become silent, and only the sound of the sword reverberated. Buzz! Just as Mr. Ram was in a daze, a dazzling sword light shot over, wanting to pierce through his body. Luckily, his eyes were sharp and his hands were fast enough. He dodged and dodged. However, he still found that his sleeve was pierced by the sword light, leaving a deep mark. The 8th foreign minister? You're just SOSO. Fang Chen grinned. This Mr. Ram was much worse than he had imagined. The first move was just to test the waters. The second move was the key to ending the battle. Boom. Fang Chen didn't give Mr. Ram any chance to breathe. The sword light was endless, interweaving into a huge sword net in the void. On the sword net, there was a terrifying sword chi flowing. The ultimate sword art was fully unleashed. This was Fang Chen's strongest attack so far. Where did this person come from? Someone secretly asked. This sword art is a little strange. They all felt that there was something wrong with the sword art. It seemed to contain the philosophy of the heavenly Tao. Although Mr. Ram had the upper hand, he couldn't resist the terrifying ultimate sword art. Swoosh! The ultimate sword chi covered the sword net, surrounding Mr. Ram. At the same time, countless ultimate sword lights pierced towards Mr. Ram like thousands of swords. Infinite universe, kill! Mr. Ram put away his previous contempt and began to fight back. Chapter 4087. Infinite universe. At this time, Mr. Ram finally realized how powerful Fang Chen was. The young man in front of him was not as simple as he looked. The swordsmanship he displayed contained great power and seemed to be able to communicate with the power of heaven and earth for his own use. In an instant, Mr. Ram felt extremely pressured. Therefore, he did not hesitate to use his famous ultimate skill, Limitless Universe. Infinite Universe had a total of 3 moves, each of which could destroy heaven and earth. So far, Mr. Ram had only comprehended 2 of them, but these 2 moves were enough for him to dominate the Zilong region. Even in the roaming dragon world, he could be considered a famous powerhouse. This skill was also his greatest reliance. Rumble. A deafening explosion rang out. Mr. Ram was dressed in white and had the demeanor of a transcendent being. No matter how strong the wind was, it was unable to move his clothes. A fiery red halo appeared on his cheeks. At the same time, a terrifying power condensed into 2 words on his forehead, heaven and earth. The so-called universe was heaven and earth. His first move was to let heaven and earth devour it. Shatter. However, he still underestimated Fang Chen's strength. The latter's swordsmanship was an ultimate swordsmanship that contained a terrible ultimate power. Who could resist the power of 10,000 ultimate forces? Most likely, only top-tier 9 Heaven Supremes would be able to withstand it. Although Fang Chen had just become a supreme being, his strength was not something an ordinary person could compare to. More importantly, he had another identity, the Lord of the Original Realm. He was the faith of everyone in the Original Realm. He was also the supreme existence in the hearts of everyone in the Original Realm. He enjoyed the willpower of hundreds of millions of people in the Original Realm. With the power of the heavenly path supporting him, it could be said that he was almost invincible in the same realm. Crack. As his voice fell, the terrible ultimate sword light smashed the word universe on Mr. Ram's forehead in an unstoppable manner. A huge crack appeared on the remaining word earth. Looking back at Mr. Ram, he seemed to have suffered a strong recoil. A trace of blood escaped from the corner of his mouth, and his aura was rapidly weakening. Kill. 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 At this point, there was no turning back for Mr. Ram. He was the 8th honorable guest. If he couldn't even last 3 moves against the 9th honorable guest, how could he survive in the Zilong region? Therefore, his heart had sunk into a state of madness. His entire being had gone insane. At that moment, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Fang Chen at all costs. Even if it meant hurting his internal organs, he would not hesitate. Therefore, after his body shook violently, he released all the power in his body and stabilized the Kuan word before reforming the Qian word. When the 2 Qian words appeared above his head again, Mr. Ram seemed to have been reborn. The blood in his body was burning as the second move of limitless Qian Kuan was completely unleashed. Countless exclamations came from the crowd of onlookers. First, they were shocked. The 9th guest was too strong. He was not someone the challengers could compare to. Moreover, he was able to force Mr. Ram into such a corner. Laro Hei, who had previously challenged Fang Chen, lowered his head in shame. His heart was trembling. Fortunately, Fang Chen had shown mercy. Otherwise, he would have died. Second, they were amazed. Mr. Ram was indeed the 8th honorable guest of the Zilong family. He was too strong. Secretly, the other guests had their own thoughts. Everyone's eyes were focused on the battle. Even the first elder and the patriarch were secretly watching. What do you think? The first elder grinned. In the darkness, the patriarch's face was cold, but there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. This kid is not bad. In the end, he disappeared after saying those 4 words. The battle continued. Although the first move did not defeat Mr. Ram, it had forced him to retreat. In the second move, Fang Chen fully activated his ultimate sword technique. Thousands of sword lights appeared out of nowhere, illuminating the whole world. Limitless Qian Kuan. Mr. Ram roared angrily, wanting to crush Fang Chen with an unstoppable force. However, when the 2 collided, only 3,000 sword lights were damaged. The remaining 7,000 sword lights directly pierced through the 2 Qian words. Oh no! Mr. Ram was shocked. He could not care less. His figure flashed and dodged the attack of nearly 7,000 sword lights. However, at this moment, he was seriously injured and fell to the ground. Even until the end of the battle, he did not recover. How could this be? He was bleeding from his 7 orifices and his internal organs were damaged. He kept shaking his head and muttering like a madman. The whole place was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. This battle was supposed to be a battle without any suspense. Everyone thought that Mr. Ram would definitely win. Indeed, there was no suspense during the battle, but the outcome was unacceptable to everyone. The 8th honorable guest of the Zilong family, Mr. Ram, was defeated by the 9th honorable guest in 2 moves. If this news were to spread, it would definitely cause a sensation in the entire Zilong region. Senior Ziyu, who had been nervous, clenched his fists tightly. His vision could not be wrong. The scene of Fang Chen blocking the heavenly tribulation with his bare hands was still vivid in his mind. What was ridiculous was that these people thought they were infallible. What was a genius? This was a true genius, a one-of-a-kind genius. In the dark, there were exclamations of surprise and jealousy. In short, after this battle, Fang Chen's name would be completely spread. My vision was still limited. Putting away his long sword, Fang Chen shook his head and concluded. He thought that with his strength, it would be more than enough to crush Mr. Ram in 1 move. However, Mr. Ram's technique was also beyond his expectations. As expected of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, no cultivator could be underestimated. Their techniques were so strange that at least the current chaotic realm could not compare to them. Fang Chen could only defeat Mr. Ram because he had condensed more than 10,000 ultimate forces. If he had met a stronger cultivator, it would not have had any effect. Therefore, after this battle, Fang Chen was even more eager to find a special technique that was suitable for him. He collected his thoughts and stood with his hands behind his back. He glanced at the crowd and said, "Who else wants to challenge me?" As soon as he said this, everyone could not help but shrink their necks and take a few steps back. Guest Elder Fang, we were blind before. I hope you don't blame us. Yes, with Guest Elder Fang's strength, you are fully qualified to be the 9th Guest Elder. We were really blind to come here to challenge you. Guest Elder, please don't blame us. This was a world where the strong were respected. The fist was the absolute truth. In the previous battle, Fang Chen had won the respect of the crowd, but he had also made them fearful. The atmosphere had suddenly changed. The voices of condemnation from before had now turned into voices of flattery and apology. Even Mr. Ram, after coming to his senses, got up and walked to Fang Chen and bowed deeply. Thank you for showing mercy. HF. Chapter 4088. The eighth guest elder of the Zilong family, Mr. Ram, couldn't last more than 3 moves against the ninth guest elder. When the news spread, it instantly caused a sensation in the entire Zilong city. Even the archenemy Mok family began to pay attention to Fang Chen. They even secretly wanted to investigate his background. Ram. After Mr. Ram lost to Fang Chen, he returned to his courtyard. However, at this moment, he heard a voice. He turned around and saw that it was the 5th guest elder. You actually lost to that kid. The 5th guest elder couldn't believe it. However, after seeing the battle with his own eyes, he knew that the guy wasn't a pushover. It was enough to show that his talent was amazing. You're here to humiliate me? Mr. Ram said coldly. There were also factions among the guest elders. The 5th guest elder belonged to the 2nd guest elder's side. He had been trying to rope him in before, but Mr. Ram rejected him. He liked to be alone. Of course not. The 5th guest elder waved his hand. I'm here to ask you, how strong is the 9th guest elder? Mr. Ram had fought with Fang Chen personally, so he should know best. I don't know. Mr. Ram shook his head and calmed down a little. Thinking back to the previous battle, his face was full of shame. He was defeated in 2 moves, and he didn't know what was good for him. It was really embarrassing. I have a feeling that he didn't use his full strength when fighting with me. After a brief explanation, Mr. Ram went back to his courtyard and ignored the 5th guest elder. Did he hide his strength? The 5th guest elder frowned and fell into deep thought. Ever since Fang Chen defeated Mr. Ram, no one dared to challenge him, and no one dared to question his position as a guest elder. The courtyard he was in was exceptionally quiet. Only Ziyu would come to ask him about cultivation from time to time. Thank you for your guidance. After Fang Chen finished, Ziyu cupped his fists and thanked him. After these few days of interaction, Ziyu felt that this guest elder was too mysterious. His understanding of cultivation was simply incomparable to ordinary people. It's your fortune that you can understand. I didn't do anything. Fang Chen smiled. As a newcomer, he needed to familiarize himself with the environment. Ziyu could bring him all the information and intelligence of the outside world. Moreover, he felt that Ziyu was a pretty good person. He valued friendship and had tenacious willpower. In the future, he would definitely become a proud son of heaven. Therefore, he was willing to share his cultivation experience. Unsurprisingly, Ziyu's comprehension ability was very light. It was just that he had been restricted previously and could not make a breakthrough. Now that he had successfully stabilized his cultivation and become a true utmost exalted, he no longer had to worry about being expelled from the clan. Does anyone in your family cultivate demonic arts? Fang Chen took a sip of tea and asked casually. Demonic arts? Ziyu shook his head. Our Zilong family is an orthodox force and strictly forbids our people from cultivating demonic arts. However, our mortal enemy, the Mok family, I heard that their demonic arts are extremely tyrannical. Oh! Fang Chen nodded. His eyes flickered as he revealed a puzzled expression. Honorable guest, what do you want to say? Ziyu asked. I've been guiding you these past few days. In addition to discovering your shortcomings in cultivation, I've also discovered an important matter. Fang Chen said, I sensed a demonic arts power in your bloodline. The reason why you can't make a breakthrough should be that the demonic arts have sealed the power of your bloodline. One had to know. As the son of the previous clan leader, Ziyu's talent was needless to say. However, he was stuck in the 5 elements sacred realm and could not make a breakthrough for a long time. What was the reason for this? Everyone thought that Ziyu's talent was too poor. However, who knew that he was cursed and sealed? Otherwise, With the orthodox bloodline of the Zilong family, he could easily reach the utmost exalted realm. Hearing this, Ziyu stood up and asked in confusion, "Honorable guest, what's going on?" Fang Chen did not speak. He just gently pressed his palm on Ziyu's wrist. At first, Ziyu did not feel anything. However, after a while, he felt that something was wrong. There were traces of black halos on his wrist. When these black halos appeared, Ziyu's mood became obviously irritable. The blood in his body surged as if he had fallen into a state of madness. Buzz! Fang Chen flicked his finger and the ultimate power dispersed the black halos. Suddenly, Ziyu returned to normal and his mood gradually calmed down. What was that just now? His heart was in turmoil. The black halos had been in his blood all this time, but he did not know about it. Wasn't this too terrifying? Who was it that was plotting against him? He thought of Fang Chen's previous question and realized that the matter was more serious than he had imagined. He immediately asked, "Honorable guest, do you suspect that it was a clan member who did it? Have you fought with the Moke family before?" Fang Chen asked. Ziyu recalled for a moment. Although our two forces are mortal enemies, we rarely fight head-on. Previously, I had some friction with the younger generation of the Moke family at the Purple Dragon Inn. However, he was too weak, so I beat him up and he left with his tail between his legs. Did you have any other contact? Fang Chen frowned. According to Ziyu's description, it was unlikely that it was done by the young man from the Moke family. After you came back, did you come into contact with anyone else? Elder Mu. Ziyu said, as soon as I returned to the family, Elder Mu came to find me and asked about my situation. He also warned me not to go out easily. During that time, he patted my shoulder with his palm. At that time, I felt uncomfortable, but that uncomfortable state was gone in an instant. I did not suspect anything. After hearing this, Fang Chen roughly understood. The root of the problem was Elder Mu. He was the person behind Ziyu and had always been at odds with Ziyu's bloodline, trying to expel Ziyu from the family. Fang Chen closed his eyes and placed his finger on Ziyu's wrist, carefully sensing it. After a long while, he slowly opened his eyes. I understand. Honorable guest, what's going on? Ziyu asked anxiously. If my guess is correct, Elder Mu has most likely betrayed the Zilong family and colluded with the Moke family. Fang Chen said, you fought with that person from the Moke family and defeated him. At most, you were contaminated with demonic qi, but you couldn't let the demonic qi enter your blood. The problem lies with Elder Mu. Elder Mu used an extremely special method to inject demonic qi into your blood and put a curse seal on you. What? Ziyu exclaimed. Betraying the family was a serious matter. Of course, I'm only suspecting it. Fang Chen said, before we have concrete evidence, don't spread it. Ziyu naturally knew the seriousness of the matter. His heart raced. He didn't expect the Zilong family to be so cruel. Chapter 4089. Ziyu, who knew the truth, was shocked and furious. He was shocked that someone had done something to him without him knowing. He was furious that his clansmen had colluded with the Moke family. Were they betraying the family? Thinking of Elder Mu's recent actions, Ziyu felt that something was wrong. However, after calming down, he looked at Fang Chen with a complicated gaze. Honorable guest, do you have a way to solve this? There was no concrete evidence for Elder Mu's matter at the moment, so it was not good to investigate further. However, if the curse seal in his bloodline could be removed, his cultivation would definitely reach a higher level. He might even be able to recover to his previous state. Of course. I can, Fang Chen said. To be honest, this kind of curse sealing technique wasn't very advanced, but ordinary people wouldn't be able to see through it. If it wasn't for the fact that he had condensed a perfect bloodline and had an unusually strong bloodline perception, he wouldn't have been able to see through it. Then, honorable guest, can you help me? Ziyu was so excited that he was about to cry. Fang Chen asked him to sit down cross-legged and said, actually, your curse seal is very easy to remove, but I need your cooperation. Then, Fang Chen explained the process in detail, and he needed Ziyu's cooperation. Okay, honorable guest, I will listen to you completely. Ziyu was about to explode. Not only had Ziyu not been expelled from the family, but he had also completely stabilized his foundation as a supreme being. He even brought back a guest of unknown origin. I should have killed him last time. Ziyu's face was ferocious and filled with killing intent. Is there any use in saying this now? Elder Mu said impatiently. If he had known this would happen, he would not have held back. However, when he thought of the curse seal in Ziyu's bloodline, he sneered and said, "Don't worry, Ziyu won't live for long." Then, Elder Mu turned to Ziyu and asked, "How about you? How's your cultivation of the cultivation technique I taught you?" When it came to cultivation techniques, Ziyu stammered and seemed a little afraid. "Elder Mu, will that demonic cultivation technique really not be discovered?" "Don't worry. As long as you don't use it carelessly, you won't be discovered. On the contrary, if you can successfully cultivate the demonic arts, it will be of great help to your cultivation." Elder Mu made a solemn vow. Furthermore, if you successfully cultivate the demonic technique, the position of the Purple Dragon Clan's patriarch will definitely be yours in the future. Violet Eye gritted his teeth and said, "All right, then I'll listen to Elder Mu." Zilong City, southwest corner. In this area, the temperature of the air was relatively low. It was also very quiet because the headquarters of the Moke family was here. Everyone knew that the Moke family cultivated demonic arts. However, the Moke family announced to the outside world that they did not cultivate demonic arts. Furthermore, they had received the approval of the roaming Dragon Realms experts. The Moke family had recently risen to power and was known for their ruthless methods. Very few people dared to go against them. Their goal was very clear, and that was to replace the Zilong family and become the ruler of the Zilong region. Today, the atmosphere within the Moke family was tense. The upper echelons of the family were gathered in the meeting hall. Everyone should have heard about the Purple Dragon family, right? The Moke family patriarch, who was sitting at the head of the table, asked. That new guest elder seems to be an outsider. Could he be a helper invited by the Purple Dragon family? HMPH, a mere low-level supreme being. What kind of helper is that? Is the Purple Dragon family at the end of their rope? Did they just casually find someone to help them? The elders of the Moke family seemed to be very disdainful of the Purple Dragon family. They even snorted. No matter what, this is the most critical moment of our competition with the Purple Dragon family. All the major forces in the outside world are paying attention. There must be no mistakes, the Moke family patriarch said. He would not allow any accidents to happen midway, nor would he allow anyone to cause trouble. Since a guest elder has appeared in the Purple Dragon family, then our Moke family will use the name of exchanging pointers to probe his background. If he doesn't have any background, then send someone to assassinate him. It can be considered a challenge to the Purple Dragon family. With that, the Moke family patriarch disappeared. A few days later, the Purple Dragon family's first elder found Fang Chen and told him the purpose of his visit. The Moke family's purpose of exchanging pointers with our Purple Dragon family this time should be to probe your territory. He probably thinks that you are a helper that our Purple Dragon family has found, the first elder said. Then, Ziyu was worried for Fang Chen. But you don't have to worry. Just stay in the Purple Dragon family and don't go out. At the same time, the first elder told Fang Chen to prepare well. When the Moke family's people arrived, a fight would be inevitable. He just had to try his best not to lose face for the Purple Dragon family. Moke family? Fang Chen was speechless. He had just arrived and didn't want to get involved in the matters of the two major forces. However, the Moke family treated him as an enemy. Did they have to be enemies just because they were friends? He was a little tired of the Moke family. After the first elder left, Ziyu asked anxiously, "Guest elder, what should we do?" "We'll deal with it as it comes." At the same time, the other 8 guest elders also received the news. Some were gloating and wanted to see Fang Chen make a fool of himself. Others thought that the Moke family had come prepared and he needed to be careful. The 8th guest elder, Mr. Ram, unexpectedly came to Fang Chen's courtyard. "Guest elder Fang, I know the Moke family very well. They are probably targeting you." Mr. Ram said, "Once they investigate your background, they will have no fear and will definitely make a move against you. In fact, which guest elder hadn't been targeted by the Moke family before? But they had all survived. "Thank you for your reminder, Mr. Ram," Fang Chen said. Before Mr. Ram left, he threw a scroll to Fang Chen and said, "I don't have anything to help you with. This scroll records a supreme cultivation technique. I accidentally obtained it when I was exploring the ruins a long time ago. I haven't been able to comprehend it until now, so I might as well let you have a look." Fang Chen took the scroll and expressed his gratitude. "You showed mercy that day. I'm returning the favor." After saying that, Mr. Ram turned and left. "This Mr. Ram is quite interesting," Fang Chen said with a smile. Then, he slowly unfolded the scroll. At first, he didn't think much of it, but soon, he was deeply attracted by the contents of the scroll and couldn't extricate himself. Just like that, while the other guest elders were preparing for battle, Fang Chen was engrossed in the scroll and completely ignored the outside world. Ziyu came several times but was refused entry. There were even rumors that the 9th guest elder was afraid and hid in his residence, not daring to come out. "That coward." In a courtyard, the violet-eyed man sneered. "It seems that he doesn't have any background. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so timid. After this exchange, we can carry out the assassination plan," Elder Mu said as he stroked his beard. Chapter 4090. Every realm in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path was extraordinary. The cultivation environment, cultivation methods, secret skills, cultivation resources, and so on were not comparable to the damaged original realm. Therefore, even though Fang Chen had comprehended the strongest swordsmanship, the ultimate sword art, he was somewhat powerless in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. Of course, this did not mean that this swordsmanship was not strong enough, but that it had a huge flaw that required a perfect Great Path to gradually heal. During this period, Fang Chen wanted to find other cultivation methods that were suitable for him to improve his strength. Although he had stepped into the sovereign realm, this was the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. There were many warriors who were stronger than him. Not to mention other things, just in the wandering dragon realm, he only had the strength to protect himself. Therefore, he was willing to stay in the Purple Dragon clan as a guest and endure for the time being. This Mr. Ram, at the most critical moment, actually gave him a cultivation technique. After slowly unfolding the scroll, Fang Chen's face revealed a bright smile. Although he did not know the origin of this unification sword art, his intuition told him that this swordsmanship was not simple. He even vaguely felt that if he cultivated it to the extreme, there would be unexpected surprises. In the following time, Fang Chen began to study the swordsmanship seriously. When he opened the first page, the 4 bold and powerful words of unification sword art were imprinted in his eyes. Just by seeing these 4 words, Fang Chen instantly entered a state of confusion. His eyes drifted, and countless battle scenes appeared in his mind. Roars reverberated in the sky. It was as if he had personally experienced an ancient war. Brilliant sword glows flashed across his mind, each time causing him to exclaim in astonishment. In the end, there were countless screams and strong resentment. Buzz. After an unknown period of time, the ultimate power in his body automatically operated, and he suddenly woke up. Whoosh. After waking up, Fang Chen felt a lingering fear. What a terrifying illusion. At this time, he looked at the scroll with a more dignified expression. Just the name of the cultivation method made him see an ancient war. Wasn't this too terrifying? After that, he carefully continued to flip through the scroll. There were many small words on it, which recorded in detail the creator of this swordsmanship. Unity Sword Sovereign? Fang Chen muttered this name. He had just come to the 3,000 realms of the Great Path and did not know who this Unity Sword Lord was. He thought that he should be a famous figure in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. Then, he saw some of Sword Venerable his experiences. With his own strength, he fought against the 10 peerless experts and won the final victory. He also comprehended a supreme secret technique of the Sword Dao and became a supreme expert of the Sword Dao. Whoosh. After reading it, Fang Chen couldn't help but gasp. If he had guessed correctly, the strength of this Unity Sword Venerate had already surpassed the Supreme Being realm. This sword art is similar to the ultimate sword art that I've cultivated. It's very suitable for me. Soon, Fang Chen felt that this sword technique seemed to have been created for him. In the following days, he began to study the unity sword technique day and night. In fact, when Mr. Ram received this sword technique, he had been studying it diligently. However, there was no progress over the years. In the end, he concluded that this was an incomplete cultivation method and an evil sword technique. If one's will was not strong enough, it would be easy to fall into an illusion and be unable to extricate oneself from it. It would then cause one to go crazy. Therefore, Mr. Ram dared to study this sword technique in depth. Coincidentally, he owed Fang Chen a favor at this time. Therefore, he took advantage of the situation and gave this sword technique to him. For some reason, after fighting with Fang Chen, Mr. Ram always had a feeling that Fang Chen would definitely become a top expert in the future. Therefore, he took the initiative to befriend him. As Fang Chen expected, this unity sword technique was an incomplete version. This was also the reason why Mr. Ram could not comprehend it. However, he was different. His talent in the sword Dao was extraordinary and rare. Just by comprehending the ultimate sword art on his own, it was enough to show disdain for the entire 3,000 realms of the Great Path. After a night of meditation, Fang Chen successfully learned it. The unity sword technique had a total of 9 moves. The power of each move was enough to destroy heaven and earth. According to the records, a supreme stage expert could cultivate at most 6 moves. However, in the current scroll, only 7 moves were recorded. This meant that the 2 most powerful moves were missing. While Fang Chen was immersed in cultivating the unity sword technique, the Purple Dragon clan was not calm. Zimu questioned the 9th guest elder on the grounds of the Moke clan's sparring. Why was he a coward? Moreover, because of his arrival, the Moke clan had accelerated the pace of their invasion of the Purple Dragon clan. It was very likely that he would bring disaster to the Purple Dragon clan. Ziyu was the first to stand up and refute Zimu. However, Elder Mu also spoke up. He felt that the clan's appointment of the 9th guest elder was a little hasty. He earnestly requested the clan's upper echelons to reconsider the matter of the 9th guest elder. However, from the beginning to the end, the clan leader did not appear. The great elder also did not bother to pay attention to Elder Mu's line. In short, the Purple Dragon clan was in a state of panic. After the Moke clan learned of this, everyone roared with laughter. "TMPH, the Purple Dragon clan is getting worse and worse. Our Moke clan only proposed a sparring exchange with them, and they're already so scared. TMPH, they probably think that we're going to launch an all-out attack. Just as well. We can use this opportunity to see what the Purple Dragon clan has and then wipe them out in one fell swoop." In any case, the Moke clan had the support of a powerful figure. They had nothing to fear in the Purple Dragon region. However, because the situation in the roaming dragon world was relatively stable, the Moke clan could not rashly start a war. They had to find an excuse and reason. This exchange of pointers was the best excuse. The Moke clan's ideal situation was to use the sparring exchange as an excuse to severely injure the 9 guests of the Purple Dragon clan. Then, they would take the opportunity to propose a sparring exchange between the younger generation and cripple them. Finally, they would cooperate with Elder Mu's line and completely destroy the Purple Dragon clan. Whoosh! The great elder of the Moke clan stood up from the rattan chair. There was a sinister and terrifying smile on his withered face. He raised his head and looked at the blue sky. It was as if he could already see the endless blood under this blue sky. "It's time to let the world know the true strength of our Moke clan," said the great elder slowly. However, Fang Chen did not know that this was the first major danger he was about to encounter after coming to the 3,000 Great Dao realms from the World Gap. He was still immersed in cultivating the unity sword art. Furthermore, the effects of his cultivation were unexpectedly good. He seemed to have grasped the outline of this sword art. Chapter 4091. The unity sword technique was much stronger than he had imagined. Fang Chen was immersed in the world of swordsmanship, unable to extricate himself. His understanding of swordsmanship had already reached an extremely high level. Coupled with the ultimate sword Dao that he had created, it was much easier for him to comprehend the unity sword technique. In just a few days' time, He had gradually grasped the essence of the unity sword technique. Swoosh. In the courtyard, Fang Chen, who had been sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. In an instant, a violent wind blew, and leaves fluttered in the air. He stood up, drew his sword, and suddenly began to practice swordsmanship. At first, the sword light was disorderly, but as he continued to practice, it gradually became orderly. Swoosh. One after another, the sword light pierced through the void and condensed in the sky. Finally, under his guidance, they merged into one and erupted with the strongest power. Boom. The void in front of him exploded. As the sword light shattered, sword chi swept out, causing people to tremble in fear. The dust settled, and the world returned to normal. Fang Chen held the sword in his hand, and a smile appeared on his face. Is this the essence of the unity sword technique? In the past few days, he had been studying this swordsmanship. Finally, when he had performed it, he had discovered the essence of the swordsmanship. Then, he felt a dense amount of information about the unity sword technique appear in his mind. This information was completely consistent with his previous conjecture. Whoosh. After carefully reading this information, Fang Chen was overjoyed. This swordsmanship was practically tailor-made for him. It was extremely special and required ultimate power to fully activate it. No wonder Mr. Ram had studied it for so long without any results. Deng deng deng. Hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Before Fang Chen could say anything, Mr. Ram hurried in. Guest Elder Fang, were you practicing swordsmanship just now? Mr. Ram asked. Fang Chen nodded. I had some comprehension. Mr. Ram didn't mind. He didn't believe that Fang Chen would be able to comprehend the unity sword technique in just a few days. The people from the Moke family have arrived. They specifically asked to spar with you. Mr. Ram really wanted to remind Fang Chen to be careful. On the surface, the Moke family seemed to be here for the new guest elder. However, everyone knew that this was just an excuse. It was an excuse, but it was also a breakthrough. The Moke family? Fang Chen asked. What level of combat strength did the Moke family send for this sparring session? This wasn't the primal chaos realm, so he had to understand the enemy's battle prowess clearly. He definitely wouldn't make a rash decision. We agreed that it would be a spar between guest elders. The Moke family wouldn't dare to break the rules. They have a total of 9 guest elders, and most of them are high-level supremes. High-level supreme being? Fortunately, he was still able to deal with high-level supreme beings. He was also eager to give it a try. He really wanted to see how powerful the as-one sword technique was when combined with the ultimate power. However, there's one person you have to pay attention to. When Mr. Ram mentioned this person, his expression was very serious. The Moke family's first guest elder is said to have reached the level of a peak supreme being a long time ago. He hasn't fought in all these years, but legends about him are circulating everywhere. Oh! Although there was only a small gap between a peak supreme being and a high-level supreme being, the difference in combat strength was definitely huge. Although Fang Chen was confident that he could defeat a high-level supreme being, he still didn't dare to be careless against a peak supreme being. He'll also fight. However, you don't have to be too worried. If the Moke family's first guest elder fights, our Zilong family's first guest elder will also fight, Mr. Ram said. Is our Zilong family's first guest elder also a peak supreme being? Fang Chen asked. After coming to the Zilong family for so long, he more or less had a certain understanding of the strength of the other guest elders. However, only the first guest elder was too mysterious. There was no useful information at all. Even Ziyu wasn't too sure. He only said that he had seen him once from afar. That was when he was conferred the title of guest elder. After that, the first guest elder never appeared again. Let's go quickly. Everyone is waiting, Mr. Ram urged. Zilong family, martial arts practice field. Before they arrived, they heard a cold laugh. Great elder, I think your Zilong family is declining more and more. The person who spoke was the elder of the Moke family. He was also the person who led the team this time. His words were full of ridicule. On the martial arts practice field below, the younger generation of the two families were sparring. The Zilong family was almost completely crushed and lost miserably. Bang! When the last of the younger generation was defeated by the Moke family, the people of the Zilong family couldn't sit still. The younger generation hasn't fully matured yet. It's normal to win and lose. The great elder forced a smile and placed all his hopes on the guest elder. Oh! So the great elder is still placing his hopes on the guest elder. Well, since that's the case, let's get to the main topic. The elder of the Moke family waved his sleeve and all 9 guest elders appeared. I heard that your Zilong family has recently added a new guest elder. I'd like to meet him. After speaking, the 9th guest elder of the Moke family, a bald man, jumped onto the martial arts practice field. The 9th guest elder of the Moke family challenges the 9th guest elder of the Zilong family. This voice echoed above the martial arts practice field. At this moment, Fang Chen followed Mr. Ram into the martial arts practice field. Challenging me? Fang Chen rubbed his nose. He had just arrived and he was already being challenged. Guest Elder Fang. Mr. Ram wanted to say something, but Fang Chen had already jumped onto the martial arts practice field. Ha ha ha. The elder of the Moke family let out a mocking laugh. I thought the 9th guest elder of your Zilong family was powerful. It turns out that he's just a low-level supreme being. After seeing Fang Chen's realm, the people of the Moke family shook their heads. Their eyes were filled with disdain. The great elder of the Zilong family was silent. His face was ashen. On the martial arts practice field, Fang Chen smiled as he sized up the bald man. Kid, just admit defeat. It wouldn't be good if I hurt you and accidentally killed you, the bald man said. Fang Chen shook his head. I can admit defeat, but not to you. This sentence undoubtedly raised the flames of war to the maximum. The bald man was furious and attacked like thunder. The Zilong family sent this kind of trash to fight. I don't even bother to fight. 9th brother can sweep the Zilong family by himself. Mocking voices came from the mouths of the Moke family's guest elders. On the other hand, the guest elders of the Zilong family were relatively calm. Although some of them had targeted the new guest elder, they wouldn't fight among themselves now that they were united against an external enemy. A person who could easily defeat Mr. Ram shouldn't be too weak, right? He should be more than enough to deal with the 9th guest elder of the Moke family. End of chapter. Chapter 4092. Fang Chen rubbed his nose helplessly. Why was it that no matter where he went, there would always be people who thought they were infallible? One had to know. Ever since the ancient sword continent's divine wind nation, he had seen countless geniuses. How many of them had died because of their arrogance? Although the bald man in front of him was the 9th guest of the Moke family, Fang Chen couldn't sense any danger from him. What's wrong? Are you afraid? Seeing that Fang Chen didn't move, the bald man mocked. His words caused the entire hall to roar with laughter. The Moke family took the opportunity to mock the Zilong family. However, the great elder was calm from beginning to end. He knew that if Fang Chen could defeat Mr. Ram in one blow, what was a mere 9th guest of the Moke family? Let's see how the Moke family will deal with this later. Under everyone's gaze, Fang Chen walked onto the stage. For some reason, when facing the bald man, Fang Chen didn't even have the thought of attacking. Imagine if a high school student was asked to deal with a primary school student. Would you do it? This was simply lowering your status. However, the bald man continued to clamor, thinking that Fang Chen was scared. If you're afraid, it's not too late to admit defeat. You just need to kneel and kowtow to me. The bald man laughed sinisterly. Admit defeat? Fang Chen didn't understand. Why should I admit defeat when I'm sure I'll win? Is there something wrong with my brain, or is there something wrong with your brain? With this, the bald man attacked Fang Chen even more unscrupulously. Ha ha ha, is there really no one else from the Zilong family that they can use? They actually sent such a useless and arrogant person as a guest. It's useless to say more. We'll only know who the final winner is after the battle, Mr. Ram said coldly. The other guests were silent. Only Elder Mu sneered in his heart. A mere new guest wanted to win against the bald man? On the side, Purple Eye also cursed Fang Chen in his heart. In short, Everyone present had their own thoughts. Guest Fang, you can do it. Purple Eye believed in Fang Chen and cheered for him. Rumble. The battle began. The bald man got into a big battle array. He spread out his hands, and a fierce wind blew around him. He looked like a demon as he stood on the martial arts stage. Above his head, a terrifying yin-yang fish appeared. Brat, I'll let you know that arrogance will cost you your life. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the bald man unleashed a thunderous attack at Fang Chen. That kind of unparalleled power caused the faces of the other guests to change. Everyone believed that Fang Chen would not be able to resist at all. There was no suspense in this battle. However, just as the bald man was about to touch Fang Chen, the latter disappeared into thin air. That's right, he disappeared into thin air. Boom. The bald man's thunderous attack missed, and he shook his head forcefully. He was in disbelief. He had clearly used his aura to lock onto Fang Chen, so how did he disappear without a trace? He released his divine sense to search but found nothing. What happened? Below the martial arts stage, there was an uproar, but soon, there was a burst of exclamations. Because they saw the space behind the bald man distort, and Fang Chen's figure gradually appeared. Bang! As Fang Chen raised his foot, the bald man was sent flying with a bang. Who is the arrogant one? As soon as Fang Chen's voice fell, the bald man was struck by lightning. His body fell heavily below the martial arts stage, and he was directly paralyzed, losing his ability to fight. How could this be? The crowd exclaimed. They thought that the bald man would be crushed, but it was actually crushed. What was the background of the 9th guest of the Purple Dragon family? That kick of his. Although the people of the Moke family were furious, they fell into deep thought. Fang Chen's kick seemed simple, but it was incomparably ruthless. It was aimed at crippling the bald man. As he wished, the bald man's bones were shattered, and his meridians were all broken. He was directly paralyzed and became a cripple. This reversal was too shocking. Even the calm Great Elder was sizing up Fang Chen for the first time. Mr. Ram shouted excitedly, Ziyu clenched his fists, and Elder Mu frowned. He was hiding his strength before. Elder Mu said in a hoarse voice. No, impossible, absolutely impossible. Ziyu was unwilling to believe the truth before his eyes. As for the other guests, they were deep in thought. Some of them were glad that they didn't blindly challenge Fang Chen, while some of the guests were itching to spar with Fang Chen and couldn't wait to spar with him. This was Fang Chen's first battle as a representative of the Purple Dragon family. He had defeated his opponent so cleanly, which was a huge boost to the Purple Dragon family's reputation, and a slap to the Moke family's face. Good, very good. The Great Elder said. This time, it was the Moke family's turn to be silent. They gritted their teeth and swallowed their bitterness. Previously, they had said that there were no rules to the competition. Only when one side admitted defeat could the competition be stopped. Otherwise, they could not stop even if they died. Now, the Purple Dragon family's unremarkable 9th guest had crippled the bald man with a single kick. This was too embarrassing for the Moke family. However, the Moke family members quickly recovered. Their goal was to suppress the Purple Dragon family and take the opportunity to kill a few guests. The show had just begun. A mere 9th guest, how strong could he be? Crash. The 8th honorable guest jumped onto the stage. Kid, aren't you too vicious? Crippling the 9th guest, the Moke family will remember this grudge. Facing the threat of the Moke family's 8th guest elder, Fang Chen completely ignored it. Do you want to follow in his footsteps? Fang Chen's words were filled with arrogance. You're courting death. The Moke family's 8th guest attacked in anger. Mr. Ram was secretly delighted. The Moke family was a bunch of idiots. Even he had been defeated by guest elder Fang. This 8th guest elder was inferior to him. This time, the Purple Dragon family members were surprisingly calm. It was as if the outcome was within their expectations. On the other hand, besides anger, the Moke family members were seriously investigating Fang Chen's situation. They wanted to completely understand him. Boom. It was another casual attack. However, this time, it wasn't a kick, but a sword. A single sword cut off the 8th guest elder's arms. Ah! A miserable scream came from his mouth. He had fallen into a state of madness. Due to the excessive blood loss, his body was trembling. He had no strength to support himself. The stage was filled with a murderous sword aura, giving people a bone-chilling feeling. Bang! The Moak family's elder was completely enraged. 2 guests had been crippled by the same person. This was a provocation to the Moak family. The Purple Dragon family has gone too far. What? The rules were set by you. Are you going back on your words now? The Purple Dragon family's elder curled his lips and said indifferently. The stage was in an uproar. Chapter 4093. The Zilong family's martial arts field was in an uproar. What the hell was going on? The rumor that the 9th guest of the Zilong family was a piece of trash was spread throughout the city. The reason why he was promoted was because of some unspeakable secret. The Moak family had always been targeting the Zilong family, but they didn't have a good excuse. This time, they finally found a breakthrough. They thought that they could use the 9th guest to force the Zilong family. Who would have thought? The outcome had been reversed. 1 kick and 1 sword had easily defeated the 2 guests of the Moak family. One had to know that to become a guest of the Moak family, one's strength was naturally unquestionable. Even if they couldn't defeat Fang Chen, they shouldn't be defeated in a second, right? After a short silence, everyone's eyes were focused on Fang Chen. The Zilong family was also incomparably shocked. Only Mr. Ram smiled faintly. Everyone thought that Fang Chen wasn't strong, but the price of underestimating him was great. The guest of the Moak family is only SOSO. Fang Chen shrugged. Boom. Everyone in the Moak family's area was furious. Terrifying auras crisscrossed. If it weren't for the elders of the Moak family stopping them, some people would have already taken Fang Chen's head. Good, as expected of the Zilong family's guest. All of a sudden, someone shouted, followed by applause. Following that, countless people cheered for Fang Chen. Even the other guests nodded in satisfaction. Although in their eyes, Fang Chen was ultimately unable to enter the Hall of Elegance, they still had to be united against outsiders. The 2 battles were enough to prove that Fang Chen's strength was qualified to become a guest of the Zilong family. Kid, you're crazy. The Moak family couldn't bear it in the end. Their plan wouldn't change. It couldn't be stopped because of some unexpected events. Even if the 9th and 8th guest were defeated, they still had other guests. The person who spoke was the Moak family's 7th guest. Fang Chen looked at his shiny bald head and wanted to laugh. How could this guy be so sloppy? His clothes were dirty, and he didn't even have the slightest bit of energy. He looked like a beggar. After he jumped onto the martial arts stage, he kept touching his bald head. You can only be arrogant if you have the strength, Fang Chen said. Do you know what I did before I joined the Moak family? Before Fang Chen could speak, the bald man continued, I specialize in hunting geniuses. Many people call me Sky Hunter. Upon hearing this, Fang Chen couldn't help but ridicule. I thought you would say hunter, but good lord, a heaven hunter directly came? Who do you think you are? How dare you hunt the heavens? So? Fang Chen asked. Being able to catch my eye is enough to prove that you are a genius. Are you prepared to receive my bombardment? The bald man said. You talk too much. Fang Chen couldn't help but complain. How could the Moak family have such a weird guest elder? He really couldn't stand this guy's narcissism and kept touching his bald head. Boom. Fang Chen took the initiative to attack because he felt that if he continued to listen to this bald man, he would collapse. As soon as he came up, Fang Chen used his strongest strength and grabbed the bald man and hammered him. I say, aren't you a little unbeatable? When the bald man saw Fang Chen attack, he complained that he had an unfair advantage. However, before he finished speaking, he felt that something was wrong. It was as if he had fallen into a swamp. His movements were slow, and even the power in his body was somewhat sluggish. He couldn't release it. T, he cursed inwardly and prepared to fight back. Who knew that at this moment, Fang Chen would appear above him and hammer his shiny head. Bang! 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 Every punch that landed on the bald man's head would explode with a loud sound. Ah! Don't hit my head. The bald man was furious. He protected his head with both hands and wanted to rush out of the swamp. At this point, he still cared about his bald head. This, Fang Chen was in a mess. I'm about to smash your head open, and you still care about your bald head. He couldn't bear it anymore. Bang bang bang. After another round of chaotic hammering, the bald man was directly knocked to the ground by Fang Chen. The latter also discovered that the bald man was actually very strong, but his weakness was his bald head. As long as he hit his bald head and disturbed his mind, he would be able to take advantage of the situation to defeat him. Boom! A deafening sound rang out. Everyone turned their heads abruptly to look, only to discover that the bald man had plunged headfirst into the soil of the martial arts practice field. Ah! The dirt covered his bald head and he let out an angry roar. You dare hit my head! However, the battle was already over. Fang Chen had defeated the Moke family's 7th guest elder in a strange way. This was something that no one had expected. This idiot. In the Moke family's area, everyone couldn't help but curse. Their faces were ashen, and they couldn't wait to kill the noisy bald man. That's it. Heaven Hunter. I think it's more suitable for you to hunt yourself. The Moke family actually invited such a strange person to be a guest elder, the Zilong family's people mocked. The Moke family's people were incomparably ashamed. On the stage, Fang Chen was deep in thought. This was because when he was hammering the bald man, he felt a hidden power in his scalp. That power was indescribable. Could it be that I sensed wrongly? Fang Chen muttered to himself. He shook his head hard and regained his calmness. His gaze fell on the Moke family's direction. He also wanted to take this opportunity to see what kind of power could force him to be at his strongest. At the same time, he wanted to let the Zilong family know that he was qualified to be a guest elder. By displaying his strength, he would be able to gain the attention of the Zilong family and obtain more cultivation resources to quickly improve his strength. Then, he would find a way to leave this place. Haha, it seems that the Moke family's guest elder isn't much. The Zilong family's first elder laughed. Their 9th guest elder had consecutively defeated 3 of the Moke family's guests. He was very happy. At the same time, he glanced at Ziyu. This little fellow had good eyesight. He had actually found such a good helper. Mph, old thing, what are you so proud of? This is only the beginning, the Moke family's first elder coldly replied. In his opinion, the 9th guest elder was still the 9th guest elder. As long as the Moke family sent out a few powerful guests, they would be able to suppress him. Their goal was to force the first guest elder to appear and understand the truth. How could they let a 9th guest elder ruin their plan? Is that so? I'll wait and see, said the Zilong family's first elder. Mr. Ram, who was standing below, looked at Fang Chen with a fiery gaze. Good fellow, when you fought me, you probably hid at least half of your strength, right? Chapter 4094. Even though the various forces in Zilong City weren't optimistic about the Zilong family's chances in this competition. After all, in order to contend with the Zilong family, the Moke family had secretly recruited many experts in the past few years. The 9 honored guests were only a superficial force. But even so, the Zilong family would find it difficult to contend against them. However, the scene in front of them shocked everyone, especially those from the Zilong family. They didn't expect the new 9th guest to be so powerful. Fighting above one's level. These words appeared in everyone's mind. One had to know that the gap between the Supremes was like an insurmountable chasm. Those who could fight above one's level were definitely geniuses among geniuses. More importantly, no one could see through Fang Chen. Although he was a low-level Supremes, he gave off an unfathomable feeling. Mr. Ram's eyes lit up as he stared at Fang Chen. He wanted to pry open his head and see what was in it. The other guest elders shook their heads as well. With the strength that Fang Chen had displayed, it was enough to contend with them. Fortunately, they didn't rashly challenge him. Otherwise, they would have become a laughingstock. More importantly, many people from the Zilong family began to acknowledge Fang Chen. Only Elder Mu's faction hated him. Mph, that damned guy. Purple Eye clenched his fists. He wanted to use the Moke family to kill Fang Chen, but the latter was getting stronger and stronger. He had already defeated 3 guests from the Moke family. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that even if Fang Chen was defeated in the next round, he would have a foothold in the Zilong family. At least no one would find fault with him. Why are you panicking? Elder Mu stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly. The Moke family had planned for so long. How could they let a nobody ruin their plans? Just wait, there will be a good show to watch. On the martial arts stage. After the bald man was defeated, the Moke family's area was dead silent. Those who had mocked Fang Chen earlier also quieted down. They knew that they had to be serious. Otherwise, they would be played like monkeys. Voila! Suddenly, a figure jumped onto the dojo. The crowd took a closer look and realized that it was the 6th honorable guest. You are very strong, but that's all there is to it. The 6th guest elder of the Moke family sneered. So what if he won 3 times in a row? In the end, wasn't he still going to be defeated by him? What? The Moke family wants to take turns to fight. At this moment, the first elder of the Purple Dragon family spoke up. Although Fang Chen's talent was peerless, he still couldn't withstand the opponent's continuous attacks. His previous 3 consecutive victories were considered a ruthless slap to the Moke family's face. The people who came out to challenge him would definitely think of ways to kill him. Therefore, at the crucial moment, the Purple Dragon family's first elder ordered the 6th guest elder to replace Fang Chen. Your Moke family has already sent out the 6th guest elder. If our Zilong family doesn't respond, wouldn't we be not giving you face? As he spoke, the Purple Dragon family's first elder waved his hand. Immediately, the 6th guest elder understood tacitly and walked onto the martial arts stage. Fang Chen nodded in understanding and then walked down the martial arts arena. Senior, you're so strong. Ziyu walked over excitedly. He was very glad that he had met Fang Chen when he was forcefully undergoing the tribulation. Otherwise, he would probably be dead by now. What made him even more grateful was that he had also found a powerful guest elder for the family. This way, the Purple Dragon family's battle strength was greatly reduced. Moreover, his intuition told him that Fang Chen's potential wasn't as simple as it seemed on the surface. In the future, it was very likely that Fang Chen would become a top figure, and even a giant in the roaming dragon world. Yes. Fang Chen nodded and then turned his gaze back to the martial arts arena. The battle had already begun. Both sides had sent out their 6th guest elders. From the beginning, the battle was very intense. Both sides displayed their own unique skills. Deafening sounds resounded through the sky. On the surface, it seemed that it was difficult to determine the winner. However, the faces of the Purple Dragon family's people were incomparably solemn. This was because they could all see that the guest elders on their side were obviously lacking in stamina. If they continued to fight, they would definitely be defeated. At this time, Fang Chen's face didn't reveal any expression. Instead, he fell into a state of epiphany as he watched the battle. The cultivators of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path had endless means. However, he was in the original realm, and his cultivation method was too simple. If he didn't use the ultimate power of the Great Path in his body, it would be very difficult to fight against them. At this time, the details of the previous battle with the 3 appeared in his mind. He slowly played it frame by frame, and from it, he looked for some traces of the battle. Buzz! Suddenly, the battle on the martial arts arena came to an abrupt end. The 6th guest elder of the Purple Dragon family had been defeated. Wild laughter came from the Moke family's area. Humph, we were just being polite before. Now, the Moke family is serious. You will lose without a doubt. In the world of cultivation, the winner was king and the loser was a bandit. If you won, everything you said was right. Obviously, the Purple Dragon family also knew this truth. Everyone was silent and didn't refute. Only the 5th guest elder silently walked onto the martial arts arena. Do you want to change? What he meant was that they admitted defeat in the battle of the 6th guest elder. However, now that they had sent out the 5th guest elder, if they were afraid of losing, they could change. Do you need it? The 6th guest elder of the Moke family was very arrogant. He directly fought with the 5th guest elder of the Purple Dragon family. At this time, someone suddenly discovered that Fang Chen had fallen into an epiphany and screamed loudly. Suddenly, everyone's eyes fell on Fang Chen. The Purple Dragon family's first elder stroked his beard thoughtfully. This guy is having an epiphany at this time? Many people were very curious. Of course, there were also some who were slightly unsettled. Entering an epiphany right after the battle was enough to show that this person's potential was abnormally strong. The Purple Eye glanced at Elder Mu beside him and shook his head, but the latter was indifferent. In the end, the Purple Eye could only watch angrily as Fang Chen entered an epiphany. The battle on the martial arts arena continued. Soon, everyone's eyes shifted from Fang Chen to the martial arts arena. One had to admit that the sixth guest elder of the Moke family was very strong. In the fierce battle with the fifth guest elder of the Purple Dragon family, he didn't fall into a disadvantage for a long time. However, there was still a gap between them. After about 15 minutes, the fifth guest elder of the Purple Dragon family seized an opportunity and defeated the sixth guest elder of the Moke family. Next, the guest elders of the two families fought one after another. Although the Purple Dragon family was at a disadvantage overall, they still had a deep foundation and were the overlord of the Purple Dragon region. The battles were back and forth and were abnormally intense. No one was paying attention to Fang Chen. Chapter 4095. In the past, Fang Chen's cultivation was like swimming in a small stream. But now, the magnificent scene that appeared in his mind was like a raging sea. He was in the middle of it, and no matter how the wind and waves battered him, he was indifferent. At this moment, the surface of his skin was covered by a dark halo. His entire being had sunk into a miraculous state of enlightenment. Even though the battle in the martial arts field was extremely intense and there were countless shouts, none of this affected him. His soul was undergoing a metamorphosis, and the ultimate power in his body seemed to have undergone a fundamental change. His entire being was in an ethereal state. If there was an almighty or a world lord here, they would definitely be shocked. This was because Fang Chen was using his identity as a world lord to circulate the power within his body and fuse it with his ultimate power. Even a true world lord might not dare to try such a bold and risky method. The laws of the world are nothing more than space and the world. Fang Chen felt that this epiphany had touched him greatly. The 3,000 realms of the Great Tao formed the complete primordial world. Although the Great Apocalypse had caused the primordial world to shatter and evolve into the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao, all the rules of cultivation were under the framework of the rules of space and time. Moreover, after reaching the sovereign realm, one's comprehension of the heavenly Tao would become even more profound. At the same time, one would realize that the so-called space and time laws that they cultivated weren't true laws. Everything in the world operated under the framework of space and time laws. In other words, these two great laws were the foundation that supported the primordial world. In the battle just now, Fang Chen seemed to have a completely new understanding of space. It was as if he had touched upon the true space laws, but it also felt a little illusory. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, the battle on the stage finally came to an end. Just as the Purple Dragon family's Grand Elder had said, they had lost the battle of the sixth guest elder. However, they would definitely win the battle of the fifth guest elder. It had to be said that those who could become guest elders of two great families were indeed very strong. In reality, the two of them were about the same. However, the Purple Dragon family's fifth guest elder was more patient. He had seized the moment when the Moke family's fifth guest elder was anxious to defeat him. A battle between experts was decided in milliseconds. Dong! A deafening roar resounded through the sky. In the Moke family's area, everyone's faces were ashen. This was not the result they wanted to see. In the past few years, they'd already figured out the Purple Dragon family's background. The only thing they couldn't figure out was the mysterious first guest elder. But now, the result of the battle was something they couldn't accept. The ninth honored guest had jumped out and defeated the Moke family's 3 honored guests. This had already caused them to lose a lot of face. Who would have thought that they would still lose to the 5th honored guest? Whoosh! The elder of the Moke family took a deep breath and tried his best to calm the anger in his heart. He glanced at the great elder of the Purple Dragon family and said coldly, "This is only the beginning. There was no need to say much about the following battle. The Moke family's fourth guest elder stepped onto the stage. Contrary to everyone's expectations, this fourth guest elder, who was looked down upon, overcame all difficulties along the way. First, he defeated the Purple Dragon family's fifth guest elder with an unstoppable momentum. Then, he defeated the Purple Dragon family's fourth guest elder with shocking methods. In this way, the Moke family would become the host. Next, after defeating the Purple Dragon family's fourth guest elder, the Moke family's fourth guest elder looked at the Purple Dragon family's territory with disdain. At this moment, a ray of light flashed in Fang Chen's mind. He suddenly opened his eyes. In an instant, the ultimate power in his body was like a monstrous wave that shook violently in his body. Finally, it flowed to every corner of his body and merged with his blood and bones. Hey! Fang Chen's face revealed a look of astonishment. He also didn't expect that a moment of enlightenment would allow his body to completely merge with the ultimate power. What did this mean? He knew better than anyone else. Under the effect of the ultimate power, the strength of his physical body had increased again. Although his current martial realm wasn't high, his strengthened physical body was comparable to a high level or even a peak honorable. Whoosh! Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Fang Chen's face. He raised his head and glanced at the Moke family's territory, but he didn't see the bald man. He had to admit that it was all thanks to the bald man that he was able to achieve a breakthrough. However, at this moment, he noticed the situation on the stage and was secretly speechless. He didn't expect the Moke family's fourth guest elder to be a dark horse. He actually defeated the Purple Dragon family's fourth guest elder and even threatened to challenge the last three guests. Even if it's me, I don't have much of a chance of winning against him. Fang Chen muttered to himself. Of course, this was under the condition that he didn't use his ultimate trump card. If his life was in danger, he might be able to fight. Guest Elder Fang, what do you think of this person? Mr. Ram saw that Fang Chen had woken up and hurried over to ask. This person is very strong, Fang Chen said. How could the Purple Dragon family, an overlord force of the Zilong region, allow others to provoke them? The third guest elder directly jumped onto the stage and fought fiercely with the Moke family's fourth guest elder. Hey! After seeing the secret technique that the third guest elder of the Purple Dragon family used, Fang Chen exclaimed softly, Mr. Ram, do you know what secret technique the third guest elder used? If my guess is correct, the third guest elder used his famous ultimate skill, the Void Condensing Sword, Mr. Ram said. Everyone knew that before the third guest elder joined the Purple Dragon family, he was a famous bandit in the Zilong region. He was called Mr. Void because of his famous ultimate skill, the Void Condensing Sword. Void Condensing Sword? Fang Chen muttered to himself and fell into deep thought. In the previous epiphany, he had a new understanding of the true spatial rules. Now, after seeing the secret technique that the third guest elder used, he had a strange feeling in his heart. The Void Condensing Sword, as the name suggested, was related to the void. However, Fang Chen found that he had only touched the surface of the spatial rules. Nevertheless, Fang Chen was greatly inspired. It seems that if I have the chance, I will have to spar with the third guest elder and ask for advice, Fang Chen said. The battle on the martial arts practice stage had already entered a white-hot stage. At this moment, no one knew that a group of mysterious black-clothed men had quietly arrived on a towering mountain outside the Zilong city. They were using a special method to seal the void here, as if they were trying to open a passage. Boom! After a while, a sound that pierced through the heavens and earth spread into the Zilong city, shocking everyone. Chapter 4096. Roar. The roars of beasts filled the sky. Suddenly, everyone in Zilong City felt an overwhelming pressure that enveloped the entire city. Everyone felt an unprecedented fear in their hearts. Everyone's gazes simultaneously looked towards a mountain peak outside Zilong City. There was a dazzling void gate that was gradually opening. What's going on? The terrifying roars of beasts alarmed the entire Zilong City. The two clans that were exchanging pointers also stopped fighting. The first elder of the Zilong clan and the elder of the Moke clan suddenly stood up. They looked at the mountain peak outside Zilong City. When they saw the void gate, their expressions changed drastically. Not good. It's the assassins. The first elder of the Zilong clan roared, reminding everyone to enter battle mode. Then he turned to the elder of the Moke clan and said in a low voice, "Let's join forces." Obviously, the elder of the Moke clan did not expect the assassins to invade at this juncture. He knew very well that if they did not join forces, when the assassins completely invaded, the entire Zilong city would become a living hell. Kill. Following the alliance of the two great clans, all the experts moved out. At this moment, the void gate on the mountain peak was gradually stabilizing. Countless beastly roars could be clearly heard coming from within. It seemed like there were powerful demonic beasts that were about to walk out. Destroy the void gate. The first elder of the Zilong clan rushed to the mountain peak, wanting to destroy the void gate. Behind him were several guests. Assassins. Fang Chen was a little confused. The Wandering Dragon world was divided into 9 regions. Each region had its own dominating force, but they were all loyal to the supreme power center of the Wandering Dragon world, the Golden Dragon Palace. Where did the assassins come from? How dare they invade the Zilong region? Weren't they going against the Golden Dragon Palace? Guest Fang, be careful. Mr. Ram's expression changed drastically. He directly pulled Fang Chen to a corner. The assassins are an ancient force. They are best at rearing beasts in captivity and transforming them into killing machines. For a long time, the assassins had been hiding in the darkness of the Wandering Dragon world, hunting the cultivators of the Wandering Dragon world. However, following the rise of the Golden Dragon Palace, the assassins gradually declined. Over time, people began to overlook the cruelty and terror of the assassins. There was once a saying, "Wherever the hitman goes, not even a blade of grass grows." It was enough to see how cruel and terrifying they were. We're not qualified to participate in a battle of this level. If we're not careful, we'll lose our lives. Mr. Ram reminded him. At first, he was jealous of Fang Chen, but now, he was completely convinced by Fang Chen's talent. Therefore, he immediately reminded him. Aren't they afraid of the Golden Dragon Palace? Fang Chen asked. Mr. Ram smiled bitterly. The Golden Dragon Palace was located in the center of the Wandering Dragon realm. It was too far away from the Zilong region. Even if they wanted to help, they might not be able to make it in time. What is the Void Gate? Fang Chen continued asking. That's the assassin's exclusive gate of hunting. The monsters that they've reared in captivity all fight in the alternate dimension. The ones that survive in the end are the strongest. Every time the assassin opens the gate of hunting, they'll release the surviving beast kings from the alternate dimension. There was one more thing that Mr. Ram didn't say. That was, the opening of the hunting gate meant that the Zilong city would be destroyed. Miserable screams were endless. In just a few minutes, countless people died tragically in front of Fang Chen. In the face of absolute strength, those weak people were helpless. However, the two families were too busy now. Boom. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Some powerful figures joined the battle and rushed toward the hunting gate, trying to stop it from expanding. Everyone exclaimed. It was the Zilong clan leader. The clan leader is back. The people of the Zilong clan were instantly excited. Stupid. The men in black who were maintaining the hunting gate sneered. The hunting gate is opened. Zilong City will become a purgatory. No one can stop it. Presumptuous. Seeing his clan members die one after another, the Zilong clan leader was furious. However, every time he approached the hunting gate, he was blocked by an invisible force. At this moment, an old man with dark energy came from the Moke clan's area. The assassins are too long. It was the Moke clan leader. In the Zilong region, the two giants appeared and temporarily stabilized the situation. However, they seemed to be powerless against the hunting gate. Quickly close the hunting gate and leave the Zilong region. Then, we will let bygones be bygones. The Moke clan leader's cold voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Fang Chen, who was in the corner, raised his head and looked at the two clan leaders standing in the air. He was shocked. Are these the giants of the Zilong region? The aura that they emitted was too strong. Compared to them, he was like a speck of dust. I wonder if the two giants can stop the hunting gate from opening? Fang Chen muttered to himself. Mr. Ram shook his head. I think it will be difficult. This was because the assassin's gate of the hunt had never failed since the beginning of time. I hope the cultivators of the Golden Dragon Palace can come as soon as possible, Mr. Ram prayed. At the same time, the various regions of the Wandering Dragon Realm were also in a state of shock. All the giants were watching the battle from the air. What's going on? The assassins who have been dormant for tens of thousands of years actually appeared so brazenly. Why did the assassins attack the Zilong region? The hunting gate has reappeared in the world. Is the assassins going to fight the cultivators of the Wandering Dragon Realm head-on? The Zilong region is finished. The Zilong clan leader and the Moke clan leader alone can't stop the hunting gate. Some giants were shocked, while others shook their heads in pity. The Golden Dragon Palace has already sent cultivators there. As long as they can hold on for half an hour, it will be enough. All the forces continued to pay attention. In just a few minutes, Zilong City turned into a battlefield of carnage. All the innocent people died tragically. Those who were slightly weaker were not spared either. Even the powerful experts of the two major clans were not qualified to intervene in this battle. Strictly speaking, this battle had already surpassed their understanding of the world. Everyone fell silent, waiting for the rescue from the Golden Dragon Palace. Only Fang Chen didn't think so. He couldn't rely on anyone. He had to escape from Zilong City before the hunting gate was fully opened. He thought of Ada, who was hiding outside Zilong City. He had secretly contacted Ada and asked him to control the battleship and come quietly. Soon, he sensed that the battleship had arrived outside Zilong City. It was only about 100 meters away from him. Humph! The man in black on the mountain peak also noticed the battleship. He waved his sleeve, and a terrible light swooped down, trying to destroy the battleship. But to everyone's surprise, the battleship withstood his attack. Just as everyone was surprised, Fang Chen rushed into the battleship as fast as he could. Then the battleship started and disappeared into the sky. Huh! The man in black was surprised, but soon he felt that something was wrong. Is that the battleship of the Hydra organization? The Zilong clan leader and the Moke clan leader were also surprised. Why would the Hydra organization come here? Chapter 4097. The battleship that Fang Chen obtained used to belong to the Hydra organization. Although he used special means to remove the mark on it, the top powerful figures could still recognize it at a glance. Therefore, when RDA appeared with the battleship, the Purple Dragon Patriarch and the Moke Patriarch immediately noticed it. They were quite shocked. Why did the Hydra organization come to the Purple Dragon City? Was Fang Chen also a member of the Hydra organization? Then, what was his purpose of sneaking into the Purple Dragon clan? However, before they had time to think about it, they felt a strong pressure from the gate of the hunt. Countless beast roars resounded through the sky. At this moment, the two opposing forces also joined forces to resist the attack of the assassin organization. Destroy the gate of the hunt. After a short period of shock, the Purple Dragon Patriarch roared. The Moke Patriarch nodded heavily. His face was very serious as he took the lead and rushed toward the gate of the hunt. In just a few seconds, the gate of the hunt had completely expanded. For a moment, the Purple Dragon City encountered an unprecedented crisis. Everyone's life was hanging by a thread, waiting for the experts of the Golden Dragon Palace to rescue them. However, at this moment, Fang Chen stepped on the battleship and quickly left the Purple Dragon City. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the border of the Purple Dragon domain. If he was given a little more time, he would be able to leave the Purple Dragon domain completely. Master. RDA looked at Fang Chen with some worry. The latter shook his head. I'm fine. Originally, he planned to hide his identity and train himself as a guest of the Purple Dragon clan. He also planned to collect some important information about the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. Who would have thought that he would encounter such a thing? The assassin, in Fang Chen's mind, memories surfaced. He had vaguely seen clues about the assassin among the inheritances of the experts in the chaotic realm. However, his cultivation was too low at that time and he did not understand it, so he did not investigate further. Now that he thought about it, the assassin organization should be extremely powerful. Otherwise, the Purple Dragon clan and the Moke clan would not be so afraid. Of course. What piqued Fang Chen's curiosity the most was the Gate of Hunting. What exactly was hidden behind that void gate? What kind of special method did the hitman use to cultivate so many beast kings for his own use? Wouldn't such an extremely cruel method be resisted by the cultivation world? Rumble. The deafening sound pulled Fang Chen back from his thoughts. Through the warship, he could see the Purple Dragon city far behind him. Flames soared to the sky, and countless miserable cries resounded incessantly. At the same time, loud shouts reverberated in the void, followed by the sounds of intense fighting. Fang Chen guessed that the experts from the Golden Dragon Palace should have arrived. "Master, where are we going now?" a DA asked. "Let's leave the roaming dragon world first. His identity has been exposed. No matter how he explains it, no one will believe what he says and everyone will treat him as a member of the Hydra organization. The environment he was in was very dangerous, so it was better to leave this place first." However, just as they were about to leave on the battleship, the Gate of Hunting in the distance opened completely. Just as the Beast Kings were about to rush out, the experts of the Golden Dragon Palace attacked together and distorted the Gate of Hunting. Crack. Cracks actually appeared on the Gate of Hunting, and it was on the verge of collapsing. The expressions of those black-robed men changed abruptly. The leader shouted, "Let's go." In an instant, countless black-robed men retreated into the Gate of Hunting, and at the same time, the strongest power of the experts from the Golden Dragon Palace also descended on the Gate of Hunting. Boom! The extremely terrifying power collided with the Gate of Hunting, and it was destroyed directly. When the Gate of Hunting collapsed, a dazzling light burst out, illuminating the entire Purple Dragon field. Countless light spots scattered and burst into every corner of the Purple Dragon field. Whoosh! One of the light spots coincidentally shot toward the battleship Fang Chen was on. Seeing this, the latter's expression changed greatly, and he hurriedly asked a DA to control the battleship to dodge. However, the light spot seemed to have a scope. No matter how the battleship dodged, it could not get rid of its aim. The light spot was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it hit the battleship. Whoosh! The next moment, the battleship disappeared into thin air. Buzz! All the light spots in the Purple Dragon field also collapsed. The void was filled with the smell of blood. At a glance, it was a scene of devastation. With Purple Dragon City as the center, the entire Purple Dragon field had suffered various disasters, both big and small, and countless people had died. Those cultivators who had fallen in a pool of blood would forever sleep here. Purple Dragon City had been directly turned into ruins, and all the innocent people had died. Only the experts from the two aristocratic families were spared under the protection of the experts from the Golden Dragon Palace. Even so, the loss was still very great. Faced with this bloody lesson, the two clan leaders were completely silent. They clenched their fists, and their hearts were filled with anger. The experts from the Golden Dragon Palace were also very angry. They had already rushed over as fast as they could, but they were still a little late. "Assassins!" The leading expert from the Golden Dragon Palace's cold voice echoed in the void. "From now on, the Wandering Dragon Field and the Assassins will be irreconcilable enemies." The experts from the other fields of the Wandering Dragon Field also shook their heads. This battle had completely plunged the Wandering Dragon Field into boundless anger. Even the two opposing forces would definitely join hands to rebuild the Purple Dragon Field. "If I don't take revenge, I'm not a man." The Purple Dragon clan leader was furious. Beside him, the Moke clan leader also said, "Purple Dragon, we've been fighting for so many years. It's time to join hands." Purple Dragon City had been turned into ruins. They had to rebuild it and continue to increase the strength of the Purple Dragon Field. Then, they would seek revenge on the assassins. The experts from the Golden Dragon Palace also expressed their stance. After this incident, their strategy towards the Purple Dragon Field had changed. They would no longer exclude the Purple Dragon clan, but instead, they would bring the two aristocratic families together. "All right, quickly rebuild Purple Dragon City." I will report this matter to the palace lord. We will definitely destroy the assassins, the expert from the Golden Dragon Palace said. At the same time, he also said that the other fields would also send people to support the Purple Dragon Field. After the news spread, the entire Wandering Dragon Field was shaken. All the cultivators were filled with fear. After so many years, the Gate of the Hunt had reappeared. If the assassins dared to openly attack the Purple Dragon Field, then they would dare to attack the other fields. Without the protection of the experts from the Golden Dragon Palace, no one could stop the Gate of the Hunt. For a moment, everyone was in a panic. Even within the Golden Dragon Palace, there seemed to be different voices. The entire Wandering Dragon Field was in the flames of war. In the ruins of Purple Dragon City, Mr. Ram, who had survived, had lost his ability to fight. He looked blankly for Fang Chen. Master Fang, you'll be fine. Ziyu clenched his fists. His heart was bleeding. With his strength, it was impossible for him to resist the power of the Gate of the Hunt. At the critical moment, the first master came out of seclusion and protected him. Strength. I'm still not strong enough, Ziyu said crazily. Chapter 4098. When the battleship disappeared, Fang Chen felt that he had entered a state of confusion, as if he was in a strange world. The flow of time around him was different. He could clearly see the endless darkness shuttling around him. He reached out to touch it to see if it was real, but he found that he could not grab anything. His vision became more and more blurred, and in the end, he fell into a coma. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled around him, and darkness filled him, but he knew nothing. Some people said that a person's life would eventually turn into a pile of yellow soil. Others said that immortality existed in the world, and the biggest dream of martial arts cultivators was to pursue immortality. Every person who fell down paid the price for exploring the mystery of immortality, and they were worthy of respect. However, endless years had passed, and there was no answer or conclusion about immortality. There was only endless martial arts cultivators who spent their whole lives exploring and pursuing it. Not long ago, Fang Chen felt that he had experienced a dreamlike life. In the endless darkness, he seemed to see his life passing by in a hurry, but in the end, it became blurred. He could not see his future clearly. It was completely different from the power of reincarnation of 100 lives before. This time, he felt very real. It had been 7 days and 7 nights since he woke up, but he still did not say a word, and some strange memories appeared in his mind from time to time. Master. After traveling through the boundless darkness, the 9-headed snake warship was already in ruins. Fortunately, the internal structure was not damaged and could still operate normally. This was also the reason why RDA and Fang Chen were not seriously injured. Ada had been waiting for his master here for 7 days and 7 nights, and he could not help but call out. Hearing that, Fang Chen, who was in a daze, finally woke up. He slowly raised his head, and his face was slightly pale, as if he had not recovered from the previous experience. Master, what's wrong with you? Ada asked. Fang Chen shook his head forcefully and slowly got up. He looked around. He didn't know where he was or where he was. At a glance, there was smoke everywhere. It was as if he had just experienced a great battle and ended up here in a daze. In his memory, the experts of the assassin organization wanted to destroy the Zilong family and the Moke family. They summoned the Gate of Hunting and destroyed the Zilong city directly. It also caused the entire Wandering Dragon world to be shaken. Experts from all over the world came to stop the Gate of Hunting from opening. The fierce battle was not something Fang Chen could intervene in. When his life was threatened, he resolutely chose to escape Zilong City. He stepped onto the battleship and was about to leave Zilong Domain. However, at the critical moment, the Gate of Hunting was destroyed by the experts of the Golden Dragon Palace, which caused cracks to appear. It then shattered and turned into countless light spots. One of the light spots locked Fang Chen's battleship, and then Fang Chen entered the endless darkness. What's going on? Where am I? Why am I here? These 3 questions kept repeating in Fang Chen's mind, but he could not get an answer. However, after thinking for 7 days and 7 nights, he finally calmed down under Ada's call. Throughout his cultivation history, he had encountered many strange things. In this special and strange environment, the most important thing for him to protect himself was to stay calm. Whoosh! After taking a few deep breaths, Fang Chen decided to understand the situation here first before making a decision. Can the battleship still be used? Fang Chen asked. Ada nodded. Although the battleship looked damaged, its core was not damaged. It could still be used, but most of the energy crystals were destroyed, so it could not be used for long. Okay, use the battleship scanning system to explore the surroundings. Be careful. If you find anything, report it immediately. Fang Chen ordered. Ada quickly returned to the cockpit to scan, while he himself went to a small hill not far away. Even though he was standing on a small hill in the middle of the desert, he couldn't see anything at all. What is this place? Fang Chen racked his brains, but he could not figure it out. However, in front of a mountain stream thousands of miles away, a mutant lion with a bloody smell roared to the sky and said in human language, "Brothers, foreigners are coming." Hearing that, the demonic beasts hiding in the mountain stream raised their heads and roared. Kill all the foreigners. They roared because they thought that they were trapped here because of the foreigners. Also, they longed for freedom. Only by completing the task could they be free. The outsiders, however, were their life-saving straw. After another half a month, Fang Chen still made no progress in exploring this place. However, the danger was approaching step by step. I can't be trapped here forever. This day, Fang Chen made a difficult decision. He was going to let Ada control the battleship and take him away. Master. Ada wanted to say something, but stopped. This was a very dangerous decision. Firstly, they did not know where they were. Blindly advancing would bring danger. Secondly, there were not many energy crystals left to maintain the operation of the battleship. Once they were used up, they would lose their last reliance. Once they encountered danger, they would definitely die. Of course, there was the most important point. If they found a way out, they would need a battleship. Otherwise, how could they pass through the world gap? We can't wait for death here. We can only find hope by advancing. Fang Chen's attitude was very firm. Ada had no choice but to control the battleship and prepare to advance. However, at this moment, Fang Chen's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly looked into the distance and felt a shocking killing intent approaching. What a strong killing intent! An unprecedented killing intent was rapidly approaching. Soon, Fang Chen discovered a blood-red lion galloping at the far end of the barren desert. Upon closer inspection, he saw a dense pack of demonic beasts following behind it. No. To be precise, it was a beast king. That is, Fang Chen's pupils constricted. He was shocked. Ada hurriedly controlled the battleship. Boom. Just as the battleship was activated, the mutant blood-red lions hoof-stepped on the battleship, instantly forcing it to stop. The other beast kings surrounded the battleship. Seeing this scene, Fang Chen frowned. How could he escape from such a dangerous situation? However, the mutant blood-red lion's gong-sized eyes looked at Fang Chen and Ada through the battleship. Suddenly, it grinned and said, "Foreigners, welcome to the world of hunting." Fang Chen's heart was shaken, and a storm was set off. He knew where he was. This was the world inside the Gate of Hunting. Chapter 4099. Welcome to the hunting world. When these words rang in Fang Chen's mind, he was completely dumbfounded. He had been trying to find out where he was. Now, it seemed that he had entered the world behind the Gate of the Hunt. The Gate of the Hunt was an important place for the assassin organization. It was used to breed monsters and let them kill each other. In the end, the remaining monsters would become powerful beast kings for their use. This was why every time the Gate of the Hunt opened, a force would be destroyed. Fang Chen shook his head hard. He was puzzled. What was going on? Why did he enter the Gate of the Hunt? Normally, if one wanted to enter the Gate of the Hunt, they would have to get permission from the assassin organization. But now, he had mysteriously appeared here. In his mind, he remembered that he had arrived at the edge of the Zilong domain in a battleship. However, at this moment, the Gate of the Hunt collapsed and turned into countless light spots. One of the light spots was aimed at him and hit the battleship. In the next moment, he lost consciousness. Could it be? Fang Chen was shocked. The root of all the problems was that light spot. After he gradually calmed down, he guessed that it was because the gate of the hunt had collapsed. The light spot had quietly brought him here. Even the assassin organization did not know about it. Phew. Fang Chen took a deep breath and then looked forward with his pitch-black eyes. His gaze came to rest on the blood-red lion in the lead position. The blood-red lion opened its gaping maw and lifted its head up to the sky to let out a long roar of rage. It seemed to hate the outsiders. Roar. Following a furious roar, the mutated blood-red lion charged at Fang Chen with boundless power. Fang Chen hurriedly dodged, but he was still struck by the blood-red lion's claws. His clothes were torn apart, and his body fell to the ground. With a bang, Fang Chen felt that his internal organs were about to explode. The blood-red lion's power was too strong. In desperation, he took out his long sword and performed the ultimate sword art. He also fully activated the ultimate power in his body. Bang! 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 The sound of metal colliding was heard. Fang Chen gradually calmed down in the face of the mutant blood-red lion's bombardment. He was able to deal with it more easily. Outsiders, die! The mutant blood-red lion roared, and in the next instant, it appeared behind Fang Chen at a speed invisible to the naked eye. It opened its mouth wide, wanting to swallow Fang Chen's head. Fang Chen circulated his ultimate strength, and his entire body was covered in this kind of power. He forcefully resisted the lion's attack and continuously retreated. Fang Chen didn't say anything as he used the force of his retreat to turn around and leave. Ada had already started the battleship. The moment Fang Chen stepped on the battleship, he disappeared without a trace. Roar. The mutant blood-red lion roared. It seemed to be even angrier. It ordered the other beast kings behind it to attack. This way, a shocking scene appeared. Behind a broken battleship, there was a group of beast kings chasing after it. Master, we can't go on like this. Once the energy crystals run out, we'll definitely die. Our DA looked at the beast kings chasing after them anxiously. Fang Chen was lost in thought. He had just fought with the mutant blood-red lion, and he could feel that its realm was only slightly higher than his. Strictly speaking, they couldn't be called real beast kings. If he guessed correctly, these demonic beasts should be on the path of evolution. Once they finished their evolution, they would transform into beast kings. That was why he could escape from the mutant blood-red lion. Even so, he couldn't resist so many demonic beasts at the same time. Therefore, the most urgent thing was to find a safe place to hide. Damn it! Fang Chen couldn't help but complain. Of all the places to go, he just had to enter the gate of hunting. This mutant blood-red lion wasn't strong. If he really encountered those top beast kings, he would definitely die. After all, for countless years, the assassin organization had been using the gate of hunting to cultivate beast kings. Those top beast kings were definitely not a small number. Otherwise, the experts in the wandering dragon field wouldn't be afraid of the gate of hunting. Whoosh, whoosh. The battleship was extremely fast, but the mutant blood-red lion wasn't slow either. It kept chasing after them. Wherever it passed, the roar was deafening. Fang Chen was worried that the roar of the mutant blood-red lion would attract more and stronger beast kings. Therefore, he gritted his teeth and ordered a DA to go through the abyss on the left. Okay. A DA understood. He controlled the battleship to change direction at the fastest speed and came to the abyss. The abyss was bottomless. It was surrounded by terrible power, which made people feel extremely frightened. However, at this time, they couldn't care less. The battleship could cross the abyss, but beast kings like the mutant blood-red lion might not be able to. This was their only chance. As expected. With a whoosh, the battleship directly went into the mist above the abyss. The mutant blood-red lion and other beast kings hurriedly stopped not far from the abyss. A touch of fear appeared in their eyes. Alien, you're courting death. After a long while, the mutant blood-red lion said coldly, in the gate of hunting, no one dares to go near the abyss. You're dead. Then, it turned around and left with the other beast kings. Rumble. Just as the battleship was about to cross the abyss, a strong pulling force suddenly came from below. Ada's face changed. He hurriedly said, "Master, there's something terrible below the abyss. We're in danger." Before he could finish, the battleship was pulled into the abyss. Buzz. Fang Chen didn't have time to react. He felt his mind go blank. He entered a state of confusion and let the battleship descend quickly. After the mutant blood-red lion heard the noise, a touch of regret appeared in its eyes. What a pity. It's not easy to meet an alien, but he ran away. When it said that, it meant that the alien wasn't caught by it. Lion King, what's at the bottom of the abyss? A petite cat king behind it asked. This wasn't the first time this had happened. They really wanted to see what was at the bottom of the abyss. That was an alien. If they could find the alien's head in the abyss, they wouldn't be far from completing the task. However, every time they talked about the abyss, the mutant blood-red lion was very reluctant to talk about it. Dong. There seemed to be the sound of scriptures from heaven and earth, spreading to every corner of the abyss. Vaguely, they could hear a sigh across the river of time and space. Chapter 4100. The hunting world was, in fact, an independent space. However, it was different from the ordinary space created by ordinary powerful figures. It was a space created by an extremely advanced method. In fact, no one knew how the hunting world appeared. They only knew that it belonged to the assassins. There were countless demonic beasts in the hunting world. To be exact, the demonic beasts that could survive would be called beast kings in the outside world. Of course. Since it was an independent space, there would naturally be all kinds of strange areas that existed naturally. The abyss that Fang Chen fell into was the first forbidden area in the hunting world. No beast kings dared to approach it. No one could figure out what was in the abyss. They only knew that once they got close to the abyss, they would be sucked in and lose their lives. Therefore, when Fang Chen crossed the abyss, the mutant red lion didn't want to chase him at all. It just turned around and went back. Because it knew that Fang Chen would definitely die. The dark abyss was completely silent. However, on this day, a sigh that seemed to have crossed the river of time broke the silence of the abyss. Buzz. Then, a beam of light gradually appeared in the dark abyss. If someone was here, they would realize that the center of the light in the abyss was the battleship that Fang Chen and Ada were on. The battleship wanted to cross the abyss, but it was pulled down by a strong force. At first, it dived down at the speed of light. However, when the light shone on the battleship, it slowed down instantly. The slowly descending battleship reached the bottom of the abyss under the light. With a bang, the battleship stopped descending. Fang Chen was stunned and woke up from his trance. He checked the battleship immediately and found no obvious damage. Then, he called Ada and asked him to go deeper. In an unfamiliar environment, the battleship was the most important thing. If something happened to the battleship, it would be very dangerous. Ada heard Fang Chen's call in a daze. He quickly woke up and started to check the battleship. Everything was normal. However, Ada found that the energy crystals hadn't been used up yet. No matter how hard he tried, the battleship couldn't be started. This strange scene shocked Fang Chen. Light. Soon, Fang Chen discovered that the root of the problem lay in that beam of light. What did it mean for a ray of light to suddenly appear in this pitch-black abyss? What should we do? Ada asked. Under the illumination of the bright light, the battleship was unable to move at all. Could it be that they were just going to wait for death on the battleship? If he blindly opened the cabin door, would he encounter unknown dangers? For a moment, Fang Chen was caught in a dilemma. He began to hesitate. But in the end, he still decided to open the cabin door and personally investigate the situation in the abyss. He didn't want to sit around and wait for death. Master. RDA was a bit worried. Stay on the battleship and prepare to activate it. Having said that, the battleship's cabin door opened and Fang Chen stepped out, arriving outside the battleship. Wang. When that beam of light shone on his body, he felt extremely comfortable. It was as if he was bathing in divine light, and the power in his body also soared. It's so weird. Fang Chen couldn't help but exclaim. This was simply the holy land of cultivation that everyone dreamed of. Being illuminated by the light, one's cultivation speed would be doubled. If he could cultivate here for a long time, he was confident that he could step into the ranks of the top supremes within 10,000 years. Whoosh! But soon, Fang Chen came to his senses. There wouldn't be a free lunch in the sky. Perhaps there was some hidden danger. He tried to leave the place illuminated by the light. As soon as he took a step out, a strange scene appeared. In front of him, 3 paths appeared. Each path was shrouded in a grey aura. He wanted to release his divine sense to check, but it was impossible. What's going on? His intuition told him that there seemed to be an inheritance left by a powerful figure in the abyss. Were these 3 paths for him to choose? He was a bit hesitant. Should he choose the path in front of him? If he didn't choose, would he be trapped in the abyss forever? If he chose, he would definitely encounter great danger. What should I do? In Fang Chen's mind, various memories of the past appeared. He gritted his teeth and resolutely chose to move forward. This is it. He glanced at the first path and could clearly feel that there was an endless amount of immortal qi coming from it. As long as he got close, he would feel extremely comfortable. It was the same feeling as when the light shone on his body. But he didn't choose the first path. The more surprising a place was, the greater the hidden danger. He came to the second path and heard the sound of bones cracking, accompanied by miserable screams. He shook his head and gave up the second path. In the end, he chose the third path. The first path was very quiet and suitable for cultivation. The second path was the opposite, bloody and cruel. As for the third path, it was very strange. There was no movement in it, as if it was really just an ordinary path. After hesitating for a moment, Fang Chen stepped on the third path. When he came to the third path, everything behind him disappeared. But Fang Chen felt strange. This path was peaceful, and he didn't feel any trace of energy escaping. What was going on? With his cultivation, as long as there was energy, he would definitely be able to sense it. In this situation, there were only 2 possibilities. First, this was really an ordinary path. Second, this path was created by a top almighty, and he couldn't detect it yet. He leaned towards the second possibility. Thinking of this, he moved forward more carefully. After he moved forward 100 meters, it was still peaceful. Keep going. There was no turning back. He had already moved forward for so long, and there was no way back. He could only force himself to move forward. Time passed by. RDA, who stayed on the warship, kept a close eye on the surroundings. He found that after Fang Chen entered the third path, the abyss returned to peace. Only a beam of light still shone on the warship, making it unable to move. As for the 3 paths, they had completely disappeared. Master won't be in danger, right? RDA was a bit worried. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. At this time, Fang Chen had already moved 10,000 miles. As expected. As he went deeper, he finally found the abnormality of this path. The deeper one went into this path, the more it would affect one's mind. If one's mind wasn't strong enough, he would fall into madness, and then completely lose his mind. Fang Chen checked his body's condition. It was quite good. When he was 5,000 miles, he already felt the abnormality. When he reached 10,000 miles, he felt a bit of pressure. However, he discovered that walking this path had a great effect on tempering one's spirit. In just a short 5,000 miles, his spirit and will had been raised to a whole new level. Chapter 4101. After just walking for 10,000 miles, his willpower had improved by a level. This was a huge gain for Fang Chen. As everyone knew, after cultivating to a certain level, one's willpower would become a nightmare for many top powerhouses. It was too difficult to improve it. In fact, there was no complete cultivation method to improve one's willpower in the cultivation world. Therefore, the more powerful a powerhouse was, the more they paid attention to the training of their willpower. Since leaving the chaotic realm, Fang Chen had been thinking that his willpower was still not strong enough. He deliberately slowed down his cultivation speed to match the training of his willpower. He didn't expect to come to such a treasure land by accident. Who created this place? In the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao, There were very few powerful people with willpower. To be able to create such a powerful space to train one's willpower, it was definitely not an ordinary person. Could it be an eternal existence above the Supremes? Let's move on. After adjusting his state of mind for a short while, Fang Chen chose to move on. After all, where could he find such a good place to train his willpower? Just like that, 15,000 miles, 20,000 miles, 30,000 miles, time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. For a martial arts cultivator at the Supreme's level, 300 years was just a snap of the fingers. After all, a powerful person at this level could sleep for hundreds of millions of years. However, for a warrior like Fang Chen who had cultivated for an extremely short time, it was not short. Whoosh! After 300 years, Fang Chen stopped at 80,000 miles. At this time, his willpower was extremely strong. According to his speculation, his willpower was at least comparable to a top Supreme's. At 80,000 miles, the surrounding environment had begun to affect his mind. He could fall into confusion at any time. He was hesitating whether to move on. I wonder what this powerful person was thinking when he created this path. Fang Chen was guessing. Was it purely to train his willpower, or did he have other unknown ideas? But for now, he didn't feel any malicious intent. It was purely to train his willpower, and he had benefited a lot. Suddenly, he felt something was wrong. He immediately sat cross-legged and began to check his body. After checking, he found that there were fine grey lines in his mind. He carefully sensed it and realized that these grey lines seemed to be caused by the power of this path invading his body. The grey lines contain the power to temper one's spirit and will. Although I can use it, I've discovered that it's rejecting me. This discovery made Fang Chen a little nervous. Is this the side effect of this path? He also knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. This path could temper a martial artist's willpower, so there were bound to be drawbacks. However, he still didn't know how serious the drawback was. He forcefully used his ultimate power to trap the grey thread and refine it. After about a month, the grey line was completely refined. At the same time, Fang Chen also figured out some patterns of the grey lines. This path was very useful for tempering one's willpower, but the further one advanced, the harder it was to resist the invasion of the grey lines. Once there were too many grey lines, it would cause irreversible damage to the body. At that time, the path of cultivation would be cut off. Fang Chen took a deep breath and felt a trace of fear. However, it only lasted for a moment before it disappeared. I wonder what's at the end of this path. Fang Chen was very curious. He had already walked for 80,000 miles, but he still couldn't see the end. He really didn't know what kind of willpower could reach the end. In my current state, I can still continue to move forward, but it will be very slow. After thinking for a moment, Fang Chen knew that there was danger, but he was unwilling to give up such a good cultivation opportunity. He decided to continue moving forward, but he also set a goal for himself. As long as the grey lines in his mind reached 9, he had to stop moving forward and wait until all of them were refined before moving forward. In this way, he once again embarked on the path of tempering his willpower. At this moment, at the end of this path, one could clearly see that the 3 different paths had actually converged together. At the point of intersection, there was a statue. Suddenly, the statue opened its eyes and saw Fang Chen on the 3rd path. This kid's mentality is quite good. The statue said, I just don't know if he can resist the temptation of the other 2 paths. Immediately, the statue moved its mind. Fang Chen, who was on the 3rd path, was shocked to find that the space around him had changed. The pressure on his willpower disappeared instantly. What's going on? Fang Chen was stunned, but he soon calmed down and found that he had actually appeared on the 1st path. Oh my god, a vast amount of energy gushed out and rushed into Fang Chen's body. His cultivation was actually rising steadily. This path, Fang Chen was stunned. He couldn't help but take a step forward. He was shocked to find that the more he moved forward, the more energy he obtained and the higher his cultivation. After a long time, he finally realized that this 1st path was simply a cultivation holy land in the hearts of warriors. As long as he cultivated here, he would definitely be able to reach the top. That's not right. He stopped and looked behind him. He had only walked a few meters and he had already gained so much. How could there be such a good thing? Moreover, he was clearly on the third path. Why did he suddenly appear on the first path? He was full of doubts. Although he wanted to continue cultivating, his rationality told him that the more he did so, the more dangerous it was. The third path tempered one's willpower and there was a backlash from the grey lines. This first path was such a holy land for cultivation. The backlash would definitely be great. Otherwise, who knew how many powerhouses would be created? Thinking of this, he decisively stopped and returned to his original place. At the end of the path, the statue nodded in satisfaction. Few people could be so calm in a holy land for cultivation. Most of them would get lost. Who knew how many geniuses had been buried on this first path? As long as one got lost in it and kept chasing after cultivation speed, one's mind would gradually collapse and eventually die. He vaguely remembered that there were once 15,381 people who had come to the first path. Only 15 of them had restrained their greed. The other 15,300 people had all died here. Interesting. Then, the statue transferred Fang Chen to the second path. After arriving at the second path, Fang Chen heard the sounds of fierce battle. What he saw was endless battle scenes. Chapter 4102. On the second path, the scene that entered his eyes was an endless battlefield filled with smoke. The sounds of killing shook the sky. Even Fang Chen couldn't see clearly which faction was fighting, or was it a war between races? In short, at a glance, it was a dark mass. However, there were also a few places that shocked Fang Chen. When he saw a few peak battlefields, his eyes widened. Those were the battles of top powerhouses. He saw that with every move they made, the world trembled, and they could even resonate with the great Tao. Is that an ultimate expert who is above the supremes? Fang Chen exclaimed. However, unknowingly, his eyes blurred as he fell into a trance, unable to extricate himself. All the battle scenes were completely reflected in Fang Chen's mind. Although it didn't take long, he felt as if he had experienced hundreds of millions of years of reincarnation. He even felt that his consciousness could possess the bodies of those ultimate powerhouses and personally experience their every move and style. Destruction of the world. A certain ultimate powerhouse flicked his finger, and a resplendent light destroyed the world. Fang Chen's consciousness was attached to Xiao Chen's body. He could clearly sense how strong the power that could destroy the world was. When the power of this finger exploded, it swept through the entire world gap, and the universe exploded as if the end of the world had arrived. He was shocked to the extreme. However, at the same time, his comprehension of the martial Tao was also rising steadily. No. Suddenly, Fang Chen shook his head forcefully and woke up. He hurriedly peeled back his consciousness. He forced himself to stop watching the battles of those ultimate powerhouses. His forehead was covered in sweat, and his heart was filled with lingering fear. Just now, I fell into it without any warning. The first path was a holy land for cultivation. The cultivation speed was hundreds of millions of times faster, so he didn't dare to continue staying there. Now, the second path allowed him to possess the bodies of ultimate powerhouses and personally experience their ultimate techniques to improve his martial arts attainments. Moreover, he had fallen into it unknowingly. That was the most terrifying thing. He believed that the backlash of the second path was definitely more terrifying. Although on the surface, the benefits of the second path were higher, he didn't believe that there would be a free lunch in the sky. It was clearly luring people to learn and comprehend it. Whoosh. After thinking it through, Fang Chen sat cross-legged on the ground, trying to keep his mind clear. At the end of the path, a smile appeared on the statue's face. With a thought, he sent Fang Chen back to the third path. After returning to the third path, Fang Chen heaved a sigh of relief. The previous experience felt like a dream. However, he was even more certain that there was a supreme being watching him at the end of the path. It seemed to be a test for him. If you can advance 100,000 miles, you can become a disciple of our sect. A voice entered Fang Chen's ears. His heart shook violently. He looked around but didn't find any traces. However, he still cupped his fists towards the void and said, "Thank you for your reminder, Senior." One could imagine that the owner of this voice must be an ultimate cultivator who was above the sovereign level. Even in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, he was probably one of the top figures. If one could become his disciple, it would be much easier for one to travel and experience the 3,000 realms of the Great Path in the future. However, Fang Chen was worried about how to quickly refine the grey line. Now he had only advanced 90,000 miles and had reached his limit. If he rashly advanced, it would bring disaster. Therefore, the most important thing now was to refine the grey line in his mind. Let's give it a try. After thinking for a long time, Fang Chen decided to use the ultimate power and his bloodline power to refine it. At the end of the path, the statue was more and more satisfied with Fang Chen. This guy is not greedy, not in a hurry, very steady, and has excellent talent. He is a good seedling. The gate of the hunt suddenly appeared in the wandering dragon realm. Even the surrounding realms were in an uproar. The entire wandering dragon realm was in a state of battle. Even the Golden Dragon Palace Master came out of seclusion to personally investigate this matter. Experts from other realms closer to the wandering dragon realm also came one after another to inquire about the gate of the hunt. Palace Master, the empty spirit realm emissary, came today. The core of the wandering dragon realm, Golden Dragon Palace. A majestic middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back. He was the Golden Dragon Palace Master and also the ruler of the wandering dragon realm. Logically speaking, the ruler of the wandering dragon realm should be the Realm Lord. However, the position of the Realm Lord had always been vacant. The Golden Dragon Palace had always followed the last words of the old Realm Lord. Only by gathering the 9 bloodlines could one be qualified to be the Realm Lord's successor. However, after so many years, there were many people who had gathered the 9 great bloodlines, but those who could truly fuse them were few and far between. Of those who had merged the 9 bloodlines, some died suddenly, some went crazy. Only one survived, and that was the current Golden Dragon Palace Master. However, since then, he had never tried it again. He knew how terrible it was, so he established the Golden Dragon Palace and trained generations of young people. Before the Realm Lord appeared, the Golden Dragon Palace Master was the ruler of the Wandering Dragon Realm. Empty Spirit Realm? The Golden Dragon Palace Master's voice was slightly dignified. What are they doing here? The Wandering Dragon Realm and the Empty Spirit Realm rarely interacted. The last time was tens of thousands of years ago, when the Golden Dragon Palace Master and the Empty Spirit Realm Lord met during the treasure auction. The Empty Spirit Realm Messenger said that the Empty Spirit Realm Lord is very interested in the Gate of Hunting and hopes that we can provide detailed information. They are willing to repay us with 100,000 empty spirit fruits, the Vice Palace Master said. Oh! The Golden Dragon Palace Master's lips curled into a meaningful smile. How generous! They are willing to give out 100,000 empty spirit fruits just to enter the Gate of Hunting. After thinking for a while, the Golden Dragon Palace Master said, "Tell them everything we know about the Gate of Hunting. 100,000 empty spirit fruits, it would be a waste not to take them." Everyone knew how terrifying the Gate of Hunting was. Since the Empty Spirit Realm Lord did not believe it and wanted to hunt a Lord-level beast, then let him go. Palace Master, I will do it right away. Soon, the Vice Palace Master sent a message saying that the transaction was successful and they had gotten 100,000 empty spirit fruits. Whoosh! Inside the Golden Dragon Palace, the Empty Spirit Realm Lord's projection came and expressed his gratitude to the Golden Dragon Palace Master. Thank you, Golden Dragon Palace Master. Then, the projection dissipated. The Golden Dragon Palace Master smiled but did not say anything. The Gate of Hunting was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. This time, it suddenly appeared and there were some terrifying things hidden inside. It was just right for the Empty Spirit Realm Lord to find out. Send 100,000 empty spirit fruits to my secret room. From today onwards, completely seal off the Wandering Dragon Realm. No one from the outside is allowed to enter. Also, I will be in seclusion. During my absence, you have full authority to make decisions for me, the Golden Dragon Palace Master said and entered the secret room. Perhaps. What the gate of hunting brought wasn't just simple fear, but a real disaster. Chapter 4103. The grey lines in his mind had to be refined. Otherwise, once they increased to a certain extent, they would pose a threat to Fang Chen's life. After witnessing the first and second paths with his own eyes, Fang Chen was even more convinced that the third path was the safest. The first path was a holy land for cultivation. It could rapidly increase a martial artist's cultivation. However, there were many hidden dangers, and there was even a strong backlash. On the second path, if one continued to possess the body of a top powerhouse, there would come a day when one would be eroded by the remnant thoughts left behind by those top powerhouses. Eventually, one would become a walking corpse, a combat puppet. Moreover, he had heard the powerhouse at the end of the path say that if one could reach 100,000 miles on the third path, they could become an inner disciple of their sect. Now, Fang Chen had already advanced 90,000 miles. He wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and began to seriously ponder how to refine the grey lines in his mind. If he wanted to refine the grey lines, he had to understand them in depth. After a long period of observation, he discovered that the grey lines were formed because of the invisible strength on the third path. It constantly tempered one's will, causing the power of the soul to erupt and drill into the mind. The impurities in the power of the soul couldn't be completely purified and thus turned into grey lines. In fact, the grey lines could also temper a martial artist's will and enhance the strength of their primordial spirit. However, the danger of doing so was too great. If one was the slightest bit careless, they would suffer a backlash from the grey lines. Since ancient times, there had been people who came to the third path. Moreover, they didn't believe in heresy and believed that they could control the grey lines. In the end, because there were too many grey lines in their mind, they died. Although they had touched the edge of 100,000 miles, they died and everything became nothing. The grey lines seemed to be a very special kind of strength. Fang Chen spoke softly. If spirit force was said to be a type of energy that was born from tempering one's spirit will, then this grey line seemed to be created specifically to suppress one's spirit will. These two types of energy complemented each other but also restrained each other. What's going on? Fang Chen fell into a daze. In his mind, the ancient texts left behind by the past powerhouses of the Chaos Realm appeared. He searched for any records regarding the grey lines. Day after day, year after year. In the blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. During this time, Fang Chen had not made any progress. He had been refining the grey lines in his mind while studying them. One day, Fang Chen felt the grey line in his mind tremble violently. He suddenly opened his eyes and discovered that the spirit force he had used to temper his spirit and willpower had been completely devoured by the grey line. There was only one grey line left in his mind. The other grey lines have merged into this person's grey lines? Fang Chen was speechless. After 300 years of research, he had gradually understood the structure of the grey lines. He had also faintly sensed that it had something to do with spirit force. Moreover, he had tried to fuse the two together before, but he had failed in the end. He didn't expect that there would be a change right now. What was going on? Fang Chen was a little worried about whether the fusion of the grey lines would affect his body. However, right at that moment, the ultimate power in his body suddenly burst forth. Then, it rushed into his head and fused with the grey lines. The next moment, Fang Chen felt that the grey lines had turned into a terrifying force that flowed back into his body, occupying the position of his spirit force and vaguely having the intention of replacing it. His intuition told him that this mutated grey line was definitely an extremely terrifying force. Moreover, it was a force that he had never grasped or recognized. At this moment, at the intersection of the paths, a hint of a smile appeared in the eyes of the statue. It was way too lonely for him to be guarding the three paths here. Only a single person would come here every few 100 million years. He was way too lonely. Now that he had finally met one, he did not want to let him die so easily. Moreover, he was very satisfied with Fang Chen's test earlier. Be it in terms of character or cultivation talent, Fang Chen was outstanding in all aspects. Therefore, he reminded him that if he could reach 100,000 miles, he would be able to become an inner disciple of the sect. In his calculations, with Fang Chen's potential, he would need at least tens of thousands of years to reach 100,000 miles. After reaching 100,000 miles, he would undergo the final baptism of his spirit and will. Only then would he have the hope of comprehending heart force. But who would have thought that in just 300 years, and at 90,000 miles, he would be able to condense a strand of heart force? If those old monsters in the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao knew about it, they would definitely go crazy. Heart force. The statue sighed. He walks on the ultimate path. The ultimate power in his body accelerated the mutation of the grey lines. In the end, it absorbed the spirit force and transformed into true heart force. Heart force. This was a completely new term to Fang Chen, but to the statue, it was too deep in his memory. In the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao, the power that the cultivators of the path of spirit yearned for was heart force. This was a special power that was billions of times stronger than spirit force. The two were not on the same level at all. However, to condense heart force, one had to temper one's spirit and will and give birth to spirit force. Only then would there be a chance. Fang Chen could be considered to have accidentally condensed his first heart force and reached the threshold of the path of spirit. This little fellow is a bit interesting. The statue flicked his finger. Immediately, Fang Chen felt a change in his surroundings. He was directly teleported to a place 100,000 miles away. Immediately, a vast power rushed over. He discovered that his spirit and will were constantly transforming. In the blink of an eye, his spirit and will had reached the pinnacle. The spirit force that was born was completely integrated into that special power. And under his efforts, a second similar power was born. The two strands of heart force lay quietly in his body. Fang Chen had unknowingly walked a very long path on the path of spirit. Congratulations on successfully condensing heart force and becoming a cultivator of the path of spirit. The statue's voice sounded in Fang Chen's mind. These two powers are called heart force. At this time, Fang Chen was still unfamiliar with cultivators of the path of spirit. And this was the first time he had heard of this power called heart force. At the same time, congratulations on passing the test and becoming a disciple of our sect. As soon as the voice fell, the statue revealed its true appearance. In the air above the grey third path, the statue appeared out of nowhere. In an instant, Fang Chen felt a strong pressure all over his body. His scalp exploded. Fortunately, it was not an enemy. Otherwise, he would have died without a doubt. Junior Fang Chen greets Senior. Fang Chen hurriedly cupped his fists and bowed. Chapter 4104. Heart Force. Fang Chen was stunned. He had never heard of heart force before. Although he had seen some simple records about soul cultivators in the records left behind by the ancestors of the Chaos Realm, Fang Chen did not know much about it. However, he had always paid attention to the training of his soul will. Moreover, he had experienced too much since he was young. His soul will had long been transformed. This was the reason why he could progress so far on the third path. However, he did not expect that training his soul will would allow him to form heart force. Moreover, from what the statue said, heart force seemed to be an extremely powerful force. However, after hearing the statue's words, Fang Chen stopped thinking about what heart force was. Instead, he was overjoyed. He clasped his fists and thanked the statue. Thank you, Senior. Although he did not know what kind of sect the statue belonged to, a powerful cultivator who could design 3 paths was definitely one of the most powerful cultivators in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. If he could become a disciple of such a sect, he would have someone to rely on in the future. When he walked the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, he would have a new identity. You should call me Senior Brother now. With a buzzing sound, the statue shattered. A white-haired old man with a transcendent aura sat cross-legged beside the statue. His aged face was filled with a gratified smile. He looked at Fang Chen with incomparable joy. After waiting for so many years, someone has finally come. Disciple Fang Chen greets Senior Brother, Fang Chen said. All right, let me introduce you to the situation of our sect. The white-haired elder waved his hand and smiled. At first, Fang Chen thought that the white-haired elder was the leader of the sect. He did not expect him to be just a disciple. He wondered what kind of powerful cultivator the sect's top cultivator was. Our sect is called the Palace of Fortune. The Palace of Fortune. When the white-haired elder said these 3 words, his voice became much heavier. Palace of Fortune? Senior brother, what level of power does our sect belong to in the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao? Fang Chen asked, puzzled. He knew nothing about the Palace of Fortune, nor did he know how many disciples there were in the sect. Hearing this, the white-haired old man smiled. What level of power was it? Our Palace of Fortune was one of the top forces in the primordial world before the great shattering of the world, the white-haired elder said. Upon hearing this, Fang Chen was stunned. He had once flipped through ancient records, and in addition to the explanations given to him by the mighty sages, he learned that this world was originally the primordial world, all-encompassing. However, after experiencing the Great Calamity, the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao evolved. The original realm was once the core of the primordial world, and now it was called the Primal Chaos Realm. Normally speaking, only those peak experts would be able to survive the Great Calamity. However, the Palace of Fortune was actually a force from the primordial world. Don't be surprised. The Palace of Fortune is much more powerful than you think. Back in the primordial world, there were only a handful of us. However, after experiencing the Great Calamity, the sect suffered heavy casualties, and only a few of us remained. The white-haired elder continued, luckily, as long as the palace leader does not die, the Palace of Fortune will never be destroyed. After the Great Calamity, the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao evolved. After all the realms stabilized, the palace leader began to rebuild the Palace of Fortune. After countless years, the Palace of Fortune was revived. However, the palace leader believed that the quality of the disciples was not the quantity. Therefore, he did not accept many disciples, but rather, he developed the palace in secret. Those who were able to join the Palace of Fortune were all extremely talented. With Fang Chen's talent, he was merely an entry-level disciple. From an entry-level disciple to an official disciple, and then to a core disciple, it was a long journey. However, due to certain reasons, the palace leader mysteriously disappeared after the Palace of Fortune was revived. From then on, he could no longer be contacted. The Palace of Fortune gradually went into hiding. The training ground that I am guarding was set up by the palace leader himself. It is also used to test the disciples. The white-haired elder revealed his Daoist name. His name was King Xiaoyaro, and he was the 9th disciple of the Palace of Fortune. 9th brother, Fang Chen called out. Where is the headquarters of the Palace of Fortune? King Xiaoyaro shook his head, and a sorrowful look appeared on his face. Back in the day, the Palace of Fortune could be said to be at the top of the world. However, after the palace leader mysteriously disappeared, we were attacked by various forces. To protect ourselves, we had to hide. In the years that followed, the disciples of the Palace of Fortune fell apart and were scattered to every corner of the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao. Even my real body died in battle in the gap of the Great Tao. What? Fang Chen exclaimed. The King Xiaoyaro in front of him was actually an avatar. His real body had died in battle. Who was it that was so powerful that they could kill the 9th brother's real body? You don't have to be surprised. At our level, even if the real body dies in battle, the avatar will not fall apart. Unless we encounter a top-notch almighty who uses karma to kill all the avatars. King Xiaoyaro continued, however, once the real body dies, although the avatar will not fall apart, the path of martial arts will come to an end. They will not be able to continue improving their cultivation. No wonder. Fang Chen sighed. The battle back in the day was too tragic. The 9th brother was so strong, but his real body was killed. Only his avatar was hiding here to seek refuge. For countless years, I have been in a deep sleep. I will only wake up when someone enters the trial grounds. I have completely lost contact with the other disciples. Therefore, even now, I have no idea where the disciples of the Palace of Fortune are, King Xiaoyaro said. However, he firmly believed that the Palace Lord would return one day. Shaking his head forcefully, King Xiaoyaro said, "The primordial world is too far away for you. Even the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path is too far away for you. With your current strength, it will be difficult for you to survive in the world gap. Don't think too much. Although you have become a disciple of the Palace of Fortune, you still have a long way to go. If you fall along the way, the Palace of Fortune will not avenge you. The Palace of Fortune would only protect him if he became a core disciple. Of course, after becoming a disciple of the Palace of Fortune, he would be able to enjoy more cultivation resources than ordinary people. You just have to remember that you are a disciple of the Palace of Fortune. As he spoke, King Xiaoyaro flicked his finger. A mark disappeared into Fang Chen's forehead. This is a mark unique to the Palace of Fortune. If two disciples of the Palace of Fortune come into contact with each other, the mark will alert them. Finally, King Xiaoyaro emphasized one thing. The rule of the Palace of Fortune was that disciples of the same sect were not allowed to kill each other. Violators would be severely punished. Ninth brother, I will remember that, Fang Chen said. He was becoming more and more curious about the Palace of Fortune. For the latest updates and error-free reading, please visit. Chapter 4105. Even the ninth brother, King Xiaoyaro, didn't know what the current Palace of Fortune was like. After all, his real body died in battle, leaving only this avatar behind to guard this place and search for fated people. It had been too long, so long that he had lost track of time. He only remembered that the last time someone came here to train was 30 million years ago. As time passed, the power of King Xiaoyao's avatar gradually weakened. Therefore, he needed to sleep for a long time. But this time, he was pleasantly surprised when he woke up. He didn't expect Fang Chen to pass the test. More importantly, he was able to use his own strength to condense heart force. This meant he didn't need anyone's guidance to be able to enter the door of spiritual cultivation. In the entire Palace of Fortune, his talent was outstanding. The Palace of Fortune specialized in heart force. Most of the cultivators in the palace were spiritual cultivators. Only a small number of them cultivated martial arts. Spiritual cultivation was the most difficult, especially when it came to condensing heart force. This was a natural threshold. Since ancient times, countless geniuses had been stuck at this threshold. But anyone who could condense heart force and master it would definitely become a spiritual cultivator in the future. He remembered that before the destruction of the primordial world, the first disciple of the Palace of Fortune had condensed heart force on his own. After joining the Palace of Fortune, with the help of countless cultivation resources, he finally took the final step and became a spiritual cultivator. His combat strength was second only to the Palace Lord. Of course, these memories were far too distant. When the primordial world was destroyed, the first disciple seemed to have died. Thinking of this, King Xiaoyao's expression darkened. So many of his fellow disciples were dead. What was the point of him living? Ninth brother, what's wrong? Fang Chen saw King Xiaoyao's desolate expression and asked. King Xiaoyaro shook his head hard and laughed self-deprecatingly. I've lived for countless years. From the primordial world until now, I've long disregarded life and death. The only reason this avatar of mine still exists is to find the Palace of Fortune. Therefore, I can't have any distracting thoughts. Even if all his fellow disciples died, even if the Palace Lord fell, as long as he was still breathing, the Palace of Fortune would still exist. Wang. A layer of light appeared on King Xiaoyao's body as a frightening heart force vibrated around him. When Fang Chen saw this, he couldn't help but take a few steps back. He could clearly sense that the ninth brother's heart force was much stronger than his. Is this ninth brother's heart force? Fang Chen was shocked. In comparison, his own heart force was equivalent to a human infant. As for the ninth brother's heart force, it was like he was in the prime of his life. They were on completely different levels. Junior brother. After a long while, King Xiaoyao's heart force gradually dissipated. His face was ruddy, and he smiled at Fang Chen. After sleeping for so many years, my brain has become a bit rusty. My conversation with you just now allowed me to gain new insights, allowing me to make another breakthrough in my heart force. Speaking of which, I have to thank you. Ninth brother. Just as Fang Chen was about to speak, he was interrupted by King Xiaoyaro. The latter said, You must never reveal your identity as a disciple of the Palace of Fortune to outsiders. Otherwise, you will bring death upon yourself. Moreover, he mentioned that Fang Chen was only an inner disciple. He had to go through many tests before he could become an inner disciple. Once he became an inner disciple, he would be given more resources. All right, I have told you everything I need to tell you about the Palace of Fortune. As for the specifics, you will know in the future. You have become an inner disciple, so you should be given something by the sect. However, due to the current situation of the Palace of Fortune, I cannot contact anyone else in the sect. My own resources are also limited, so I cannot give you much. Finished speaking. The ninth brother, King Xiaoyaro, waved his hand. Instantly, an illusory image appeared in mid-air. On the image, there were 3 items. You can choose any 2 of these 3 items. Of course, if you don't need them, I will convert them to spiritual liquid according to the market price. Spiritual liquid was once the currency of the primordial world. All cultivators used spiritual liquid for transactions. Furthermore, spiritual liquid had another function, which was to aid in cultivation. Even though the primordial world was broken, the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path was still a product of the primordial world. The common currency was still spiritual liquid. It was just that spiritual liquid had become rarer and more precious. Fang Chen had some understanding of this. The first item is an axe. King Xiaoyaro introduced the 3 treasures to Fang Chen. The first item was a blood-red axe. It looked very ordinary, but when Fang Chen used his inner force, he could feel that it was not ordinary. He could even feel that there was a summoning force coming from the axe. I believe you have also noticed that there is inner force within the axe. It can resonate with our own inner force. King Xiaoyaro said, this is also the reason why this axe is so precious. It is called the sky-splitting axe. It was once used by an elder in the Palace of Fortune. Back then, he used his own strength to split open a planet. Hence, it was called the sky-splitting axe. Of course, the axe has long lost its spirituality. However, for us spiritual cultivators, it is extremely rare. As long as we can completely awaken the inner force within the axe and merge it with our own inner force, the axe's grade will be restored. When that time comes, you will be able to defeat the Supremes. Hearing this, Fang Chen's heart trembled. A single axe could allow him to defeat the Supremes. Wasn't this axe too heaven-defying? Furthermore, the inner force within the axe was very compatible with spiritual cultivators. He immediately made his decision and chose this axe. Good, you have good taste. Then, King Xiaoyaro introduced the second treasure to Fang Chen. This was a blood-red metal plate. There were complicated carvings on it. It was a defensive equipment. This blood-red metal plate is called the blood coagulation plate. Its defensive capabilities are very strong. If you use it now, you can defend against an attack from a top Supremes. The reason why it was called the blood coagulation plate was because when one's blood was injected into the plate, it could quickly condense the blood into essence. Then, it would feed back into one's body. This would allow one to connect with the blood coagulation plate and provide endless defensive capabilities. Do you choose? After introducing the blood coagulation plate, King Xiaoyaro asked. Out of the 3 treasures, he could only choose 2. If he chose the blood coagulation plate, then he couldn't choose the third one. Fang Chen really wanted it, but after a moment of hesitation, he said, "Ninth brother, why don't you introduce the third treasure to me first?" It wouldn't be too late for him to make a decision after listening. King Xiaoyaro looked at Fang Chen with admiration. This third treasure, strictly speaking, is not a treasure. It is a promise. For the latest updates and error-free reading, please visit Chapter 4106. If you pass the test and become a disciple of the Palace of Fortune, you will receive 3 treasures. The ninth brother, King Xiaoyaro, introduced the first 2 treasures. To Fang Chen, these 2 treasures were very attractive. The heaven-splitting axe was an offensive weapon, while the blood coagulation plate was a defensive weapon. The 2 complemented each other. If Fang Chen could obtain them, his strength would increase tremendously. At the very least, at the Supreme Realm, his life would not be in danger. Normally, Fang Chen would choose these two treasures without hesitation. But after hearing the ninth brother's words, he hesitated. The third treasure, strictly speaking, is not a treasure. It is a promise. The ninth brother, King Xiaoyaro, said. Ever since the primordial world was destroyed, he has been wandering the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path. Since then, he has been guarding this place. The treasures he had were limited. He wanted more disciples of the Palace of Fortune. Therefore, the promise mentioned by the third treasure was his promise. I can promise you that if you are in danger, I will help you once. The ninth senior brother, the unfettered king, said with a smile, even though I'm only left with a clone, if I were to take action, even existences above the utmost exalted realm might not be able to withstand it. In other words, a single promise from ninth senior brother was enough to kill a utmost exalted expert at will. In fact, he could even save her from an existence above the utmost exalted. After gradually understanding the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path, Fang Chen felt the weight of this promise more and more. Soon, he made his decision. Ninth brother, I choose the third treasure. Fang Chen said firmly. A promise from the ninth brother, in the outside world, would definitely cause a commotion in the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path. Okay, but I must remind you that I will only attack once. After that, even if you die, I will not attack. So you must be careful when you use it. As King Xiaoyaro spoke, he took out a token and handed it to Fang Chen. On the front of the token, the word creation was written. On the back, the number 9 was engraved, representing the identity of the ninth brother. In the face of danger, if you channel your heart force into the medallion, the power I've stored up will explode. The ninth brother, King Xiaoyaro, said. Fang Chen carefully put away the token and cupped his fists in thanks. Thank you, ninth brother. King Xiaoyaro waved his hand. All right, there are only 2 items left. You can only choose one. One for attack and one for defense. It was indeed a difficult choice. However, Fang Chen had always grown up in battle. He liked the feeling of battle, so after some hesitation, he chose the offensive weapon, the sky-splitting axe. Your choice is the best choice. It also proves that you are brave. If it were any other ordinary person, they would definitely choose the defensive weapon to save their lives. Choosing an offensive weapon proved that Fang Chen was brave. The Palace of Fortune needed someone like him. Whoosh! A slightly broken axe appeared in Fang Chen's palm. As soon as it touched his hand, he felt a special heart force circulating in his palm. As expected. The ninth brother was right. Inside the axe, there was a strong heart force. Unfortunately, with his current spiritual power, he could not awaken it. With your current heart force, you can barely use the sky-splitting axe. When your heart force reaches a higher level, you will probably be able to use 30% of the sky-splitting axe's power. King Xiaoyaro said. He still thought highly of Fang Chen. After all, he was the first person to come here and become a disciple of the Palace of Fortune. All right, I've given you what you deserve. King Xiaoyaro waved his hand, indicating for Fang Chen to leave. When your heart force reaches the 3rd stage, use your heart force to sense the sky-splitting axe. You can come to me. Hearing this, Fang Chen was overjoyed. This was a surprise that the ninth brother had prepared for him. Thank you, ninth brother. Fang Chen said. Oh right, ninth brother, do you know what this hunting world is? The outside world only knew that the door of the hunt belonged to the hunters. However, they did not know what was going on inside the door of the hunt. Countless people had explored it, but they all ended in failure. Fang Chen came to the hunting world in a daze. He was chased by countless demon kings and fell into the abyss. Luckily, he became a disciple of the Palace of Fortune. It was a blessing in disguise. The hunting world was created by a little guy called the Prime Hunter. King Xiaoyaro explained. Back then, when he created the hunting world, his goal was to raise demon kings in captivity and let them compete. The one who survived would be the strongest demon king and could fight for him. Fang Chen nodded. The door of the hunt now had the same purpose. Could it be that the hunter world was created by the Prime Hunter? Then, what about the Prime Hunter? Why would the ninth brother be in the hunting world? A series of questions surfaced in his mind. Fang Chen looked at the ninth brother in confusion. The prime hunter was killed by me. The ninth brother's next words shocked Fang Chen. A top prime hunter had died in the hands of the ninth brother. Back then, my avatar was stationed in the abyss to help the Palace of Fortune select the best disciples. That little guy named Killer of the Supremes created the world of hunting and covered the abyss with it. How could he have thought of that? It's just that I couldn't be bothered with him. Otherwise, how could he have thought of covering the abyss? Ninth senior brother said with disdain. According to the ninth brother, the abyss seemed to be in the hunting world. But in reality, it wasn't part of the hunting world. It was connected to the outside world. It was just that the ninth brother couldn't be bothered with it. So, the hunting world continued to exist. But one day, the prime hunter found the abyss and wanted to barge in. But he was killed by the ninth brother. After that, the hunter world inherited the hunting world. The door of the hunt's name shook the world. The ninth brother continued to sleep. What a guy! Fang Chen couldn't help but complain. The door of the hunt, which was feared by the world, had survived because the ninth brother couldn't be bothered with it. Your strength will definitely surpass them in the future. Don't be envious. Cultivate well. The ninth brother waved his hand and sent Fang Chen out of the passage. In an instant, he appeared in front of the battleship. Before you leave the hunting world, you can use the Beast Kings here to train yourself and increase your compatibility with the sky-splitting axe. The ninth brother's voice sounded in Fang Chen's ears. He cupped his fists and thanked the three disappearing passages. Then, he returned to the battleship. Ada, who was in a daze, thought that Fang Chen had died. He was a little dazed. Suddenly, he heard someone calling him. He jumped up reflexively and found that it was Fang Chen. Boss, you. Ada was very excited. Well, let's get out of here first. Fang Chen said. Rumble. The battleship rumbled. Fang Chen returned from the abyss.